Chapter 31. None of the three parties made a move. This ferocious tiger puppet's defense is extremely shocking. It won't be easy to break it open. How about this? Let's work together to kill this ferocious tiger puppet. Then we'll compete for the godly power pearl with our own strength. One of the Gene family's prodigies suggested. All right, we agree. One of the Sun family's prodigies nodded. Then the Gene family and Sun family looked at the Sioux family. All right, we agree too. In the end, the Sioux family's prodigies also agreed. All right, let's attack together. The Gene family's prodigy nodded. His body glowed as he attacked the tiger puppet. Then the Sioux family's prodigies and the Sun family's prodigies attacked together. There were more than a dozen elites from the three parties. There were even 8 or 9 godly kings. Their strength was extremely shocking. With so many elites attacking together, the tiger puppet was no match for them and was suppressed. Boom! 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 The ground under the tiger puppet kept cracking. The tiger puppet was embedded in the ground and could not move. Although the tiger puppet's defense was strong, it could not withstand the attacks of so many people at the same time. After being attacked a few times, the tiger puppet finally could not take it anymore. Cracks appeared on its body. Everyone's eyes lit up as they attacked even more vigorously. Of course, everyone was on guard against each other. They were afraid that the other party would suddenly attack. Crack! Crack! The sound of porcelain cracking became more and more frequent. Dense cracks appeared on the tiger puppet's body. Finally, it exploded with a bang. Whoosh! The tiger puppet exploded, but the divine power source pearl was not damaged at all. It turned into a ray of light and rushed out. The divine power source pearl is mine. It's mine. Suddenly, everyone's eyes were filled with a burning light as they rushed toward the divine power source pearl. Die! I've been guarding against you. Furious roars rang out as the geniuses of the 3 clans broke out into a chaotic battle, attacking each other. Whoosh! Suddenly, a figure rushed toward the divine power source pearl. It was the Sioux family's prodigy. That person was wrapped in a thick layer of rock armor. He ignored his injuries and rushed toward the divine power source pearl. You're courting death. The geniuses of the Gene clan and Sun clan shouted coldly and attacked. However, the prodigy of the Sioux family had an amazing defense. Many attacks landed on his rock armor, making clanging sounds and sending sparks everywhere. Of course, no matter how strong the Sioux family's prodigy's defense was, he couldn't withstand so many attacks. However, he only needed to defend for a while. When the rock armor on his body exploded, he had already pounced in front of the God Power Source bead and grabbed it in his hand. Catch! The prodigy of the Sioux family waved his hand, and the divine power source pearl flew towards another prodigy of the Sioux family like a rainbow. The prodigy of the Sioux family stretched out his hand and caught the divine power source pearl. Then he turned around and ran. You want to leave? Stay. Damn it. The prodigies of the Gene and Sun families chased after the prodigy of the Sioux family like madmen. The prodigy of the Sioux family who had snatched the divine power source pearl coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body trembled and he fell to the ground. The other 2 half-step divine king prodigies of the Sioux family quickly flew over and caught him. Are you all right? One of them asked. I'm fine. I hope Su Kwang can escape, the prodigy of the Sioux family said. However, just as he finished speaking, a golden light slashed down from the sky. Its aura was terrifying. It slashed toward the prodigy of the Sioux family, Su Kwang. Su Kwang was shocked. He quickly blocked the attack. A layer of rock armor also appeared on his body, wrapping around his body. The Sioux family specialized in defense. However, when the golden light slashed down, Su Kwang's rock armor was as fragile as tofu. Slash! Su Kwang's body was cut in half, and he died on the spot. A prodigy of the first heaven of the king god realm was killed instantly. Then, a figure appeared beside Su Kuang's corpse. He waved his hand and grabbed the divine power source pearl. Jin Xiang! It's Jin Xiang! Damn it! Whether it was the remaining prodigies of the Su family or the Sun family, they all exclaimed in shock. Their faces were solemn. Jin Xiang was one of the 4 prodigies of the Jin family. He was at the first heaven of the king god realm. Moreover, he had awakened the divine power source. His strength was terrifying. A prodigy, like him, could be said to be at the top of the pyramid in this competition for the divine power source pearl. Damn, the Jin family! Outside, the experts of the Su family roared in anger. Another prodigy of the Su family had died. They were all prodigies of the king god realm. Being able to break through to the king god realm at such a young age was rare. There were not many of them in each family. Such geniuses were the future pillars of their respective clans. But now 2 of them had already died. They were both killed by the Jin clan. It would be strange if the experts of the Su family were not angry. Ha ha ha, great! The experts of the Jin family laughed excitedly. The divine power source pearl had fallen into Jin Xiang's hands. Who could take it away? With Jin Xiang's strength, as long as he hid the divine power source pearl and found a place to hide, it would be easy for him to survive a month. The experts of the Jin family could already see Jin Xiang awakening the secret technique of the origin from the divine power source pearl. Given Jin Xiang's strength, once he awakened the secret technique of the origin, his strength would skyrocket. He would definitely shine during the sacred institute of the great void imperial family. He might even be valued by the sacred emperor. Then the Jin family would soar. In the formation, Jin Xiang's face was filled with joy. He carefully looked at the divine power source pearl in his hand and wanted to keep it in his storage ring. However, in the next moment, Jin Xiang's face changed. The divine power source pearl could not be kept in his storage ring. Jin Xiang tried a few more storage rings, but the results were the same. Damn it, I can't keep it. Jin Xiang was furious. The divine power source pearl was emitting a strange energy that spread out in all directions. If he could not keep it, it would be easily discovered by others. It would be difficult to hide it. In that case, it would be very difficult for him to survive a month. How could he not be angry? The others also looked surprised. The divine power source pearl could not be kept? 9 Sabers, you've gone too far. The voice of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence sounded in 9 Sabers' heavenly king's ears. It was extremely cold. The 9 Blades' heavenly king must have done something to the divine power source bead to prevent it from being put away. If that was the case, it was almost impossible for the person who obtained the divine power source bead to hide and spend a month in peace. He would definitely be hunted down and robbed by others. One could imagine how intense the fighting would be later. The more intense the fighting, the deeper the conflicts between the major families. Too far? How can it be? Since it's a competition, of course, the more intense the better. Only then will it be exciting. Otherwise, do you think a treasure like the divine power source pearl is so easy to obtain? 9 Sabers' heavenly king sneered in response. Chapter 31-32. The 9 Extremities' heavenly king snorted coldly. The main reason was that the divine power source pearl was too tempting, especially to the young prodigies. Even if he knew about the 9 Sabers' heavenly king scheme, he could not stop it. Countless people present had different thoughts. In the array, Jin Xiang's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. He glanced at the Su family and the Sun family. His eyes were cold. Since he couldn't keep the divine power source bead, he would kill everyone from the Sun family and the Su family. That way, the news of him obtaining the divine power source bead wouldn't be leaked out so quickly, and he could delay it for a while longer. If he was lucky, he might be able to delay it for a month. You guys delay the Sun family. I'll kill the Su family. Jin Xiang transmitted his voice to the prodigies of the Jin family. The Jin family prodigy's eyes flickered as he nodded silently. His body suddenly moved and pounced on the prodigies of the Sun family. Jin Xiang turned into a golden lightning bolt and charged toward the remaining 3 young prodigies of the Su family. "Oh no, he's going to kill us." One of the prodigies of the Su family was shocked. "Retreat." The 3 prodigies of the Su family wanted to retreat and escape. However, 2 of the remaining 3 prodigies of the Su family were half-step divine kings. Although one of them was a divine king, he was severely injured earlier. Their speed was much slower than Jin Xiang's. Jin Xiang flashed and caught up with the 3 prodigies of the Su family. Whoosh! Whoosh! The golden sword light slashed toward the 3 prodigies of the Su family. Blood spurted out as 3 screams were heard. The remaining 3 prodigies of the Su family were all killed. "Jin family, you're courting death." "I'll destroy you." Outside the array, the elites of the Su family were enraged when they saw this. They were like mad beasts and their eyes were bloodshot. They wanted to kill the elites of the Jin family. "What are you doing? Are you rebelling? When you entered the array, you should have been prepared to be killed. If you can't afford to play, you shouldn't have sent anyone in." The Jin family leader shouted coldly, and a violent aura spread out. Boom! The auras of the Jin family leader and the Su family leader clashed, causing huge waves. The war between the 2 families was on the verge of breaking out. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura pressed down on their bodies, causing the expressions of the experts from the 2 families to change drastically. This was because this aura came from the 9 extinction, Heavenly King. Since you're going in to fight for treasures, killing is inevitable. Since you've sent people in to fight for treasures, you should be prepared to be killed. Don't bring the grudges inside to the outside world. Don't let others laugh at you, understand? The 9 extinction, Heavenly King, said coldly. Heavenly King is wise. The head of the Jin family hurriedly said, "Yes." The patriarch of the Su family and the experts of the Su family could only lower their heads. But in their hearts, they were still filled with resentment. The 9 blades, Heavenly King sneered. Once the conflict was triggered, how could it be resolved with just a few words from the 9 absolute, Heavenly King residents? Now, the 9 extinction, Heavenly King had suppressed it. But in the future, the conflicts between the various great families would definitely not be suppressed. Damn it! At this moment, the experts of the Sun family were also very worried. Golden Elephant obviously wanted to silence them. After killing the geniuses of the Su family, he would kill the geniuses of the Sun family. Golden Elephant, let us go. We promise that we won't tell anyone that you have the divine power source bead. At this moment, a genius of the Sun family shouted. They were all in the first heaven of the King God realm. But the difference in strength between those who had awakened their divine power source bead and those who had not was too great. If Golden Elephant wanted to kill them, it would not be difficult at all with the help of the other geniuses of the Jin family. Swear on your life origin that you won't tell anyone. I'll let you go if you swear on your life origin that you won't tell anyone. Golden Elephant's eyes flickered a few times before he said, the Sun family had a good relationship with the Jin family and the Qin family. Back in Xingyue Ancient City, the Qin family had invited the Sun family to kill Lu Ming together. Therefore, after some consideration, Golden Elephant decided to let the Sun family go so that the relationship between the 2 families would not be affected. All right, we swear. The geniuses of the Sun family quickly nodded and swore on their life origin. You can go now. After the geniuses of the Sun family swore on their life origin, Golden Elephant waved his hand, signaling them to leave. The geniuses of the Sun family were overjoyed and were about to leave. However, at this moment, a terrifying whistling sound was heard. Not far away, a stone spear was flying towards the first heaven of the King God realm of the Jin family at a terrifying speed. The genius of the Gene family had relaxed after Golden Elephant had arrived. He had never thought that someone would attack him. It was too late for him to block the attack. Puff! The first heaven of the king god realm of the Gene family was pierced through the head by the stone spear. He died on the spot. Who is it? Golden Elephant was furious. He looked in the direction where the stone spear had come from. His eyes looked as if he wanted to eat someone. Swoosh! A figure flashed, and a tall young man appeared in that direction. Su Yen, it's Su Yen. Haha, good job killing him. Outside the formation, the experts of the Su family were overjoyed. On the other hand, the experts of the Gene family looked gloomy. A genius of the first heaven of the king god realm had been killed. Su Yen, it's you. Golden Elephant stared at Su Yen with cold, murderous eyes. Su Yen glanced at the corpses of the geniuses of the Su family. His eyes were cold as he said, Golden Elephant, you killed so many geniuses of the Su family. I want you to pay with your blood. Boom! Su Yan's body emitted a terrifying aura. Divine King Realm. Su Yan's cultivation base was at the Divine King Realm. Su Yan's cultivation base was only at the half-step Divine King Realm back in the Starry Crescent Ancient City. However, after killing Lu Ji of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Palace, Su Yan had gained a lot. After going into seclusion for a while, he had successfully broken through to the Divine King Realm. Su Yan had awakened the Divine Origin Gene when he was at the half-step Divine King Realm. After breaking through to the Divine King Realm, his strength had skyrocketed. So what if I killed your Su family's people? Today, I will kill you as well. Golden Elephant shouted. He used the space-severing sword and slashed at Su Yan. Su Yan was not afraid at all. He condensed a stone spear in his hand and swept it towards the Golden Elephant. Clang! The space-severing sword collided with the stone spear. There was an earth-shattering roar, and energy overflowed. The energy was like a wave that swept in all directions. The ground was constantly cracking under the terrifying energy. Su Yan's body trembled, and he retreated in the direction of the remaining 5 geniuses of the Gene family. Oh no, Su Yan, how dare you! Golden Elephant's face changed drastically, and he roared. He could tell that Su Yan had deliberately borrowed his power to charge at the remaining geniuses of the Gene family. Su Yan's target was the other geniuses of the Gene family. Run! The geniuses of the Gene family were shocked and fled in all directions. However, Su Yan had already locked onto one of them. The stone spear pierced through. Su Yan had borrowed the power of Golden Elephant. How fast was his speed? The power of the stone spear was even more shocking. The genius of the Gene family was also a divine king. Naturally, he was unwilling to be killed. He roared, and his body shone with a golden light. He used the space-severing hand and slashed at the stone spear, hoping to block Su Yan's attack. Chapter 30-133. The genius of the Gene family wanted to block Su Yan's attack, but the difference in strength was too great. Clang! When Su Ya's stone spear collided with the void-shattering hand of the Gene clan's genius, a terrifying explosion erupted. Then, the Gene clan's genius arm directly exploded. The genius of the Gene family screamed and retreated. However, Su Yan's attack was faster. The stone spear flashed like lightning and pierced through the genius head. He died on the spot. Another genius of the first layer of the King God realm was killed. Su Yan, you're courting death. Jin Xiang roared and charged toward Su Yan. However, Su Yan didn't want to fight Jin Xiang. He took a step forward, and his body shot towards the next genius of the Jin family like a cannonball. Jin Xiang was furious and chased after him. However, before Jin Xiang could catch up with Su Yan had already caught up with the next genius of the Jin family and started attacking him like a storm. After a few moves, another genius of the Jin family was killed by Su Yan. Damn it! Damn it! Outside, the experts of the Jin family were roaring. Their eyes were red and their hearts were aching. Previously, when Jin Xiang killed the genius of the Su family, they were happy. Now, when the genius of the Jin family was killed, they finally understood what it meant to be heartbroken. Ha ha ha, good kill, kill all these sons of bitches. The experts of the Su family laughed heartily. They had finally gotten their revenge. The experts of the Su family laughed. The experts of the Jin family gritted their teeth and wanted to fight the experts of the Su family. Inside the formation, Su Yan killed 3 people in a row. The other geniuses of the Jin family scattered and ran far away. At the same time, Jin Xiang caught up with Su Yan and started attacking him fiercely. Fight! Su Yan was very aggressive. He waved his stone spear and fought with Jin Xiang. Although Jin Xiang had broken through to the King God realm earlier than Su Yan, his cultivation base was still in the first layer of the King God realm. Su Yan was fearless. The two of them fought fiercely for dozens of moves, but there was no clear winner. At this moment, a rainbow light flashed in the distance. Someone was coming. The commotion caused by the battle finally attracted the attention of the other Sky Prides, who rushed over. Moreover, it wasn't just one genius from one family. There were at least 20 geniuses from several families. Jin Xiang's face immediately darkened. He still had the Divine Power Origin bead in his hands. Quick, the Divine Power Source Orb is in Jin Xiang's hands. It's in his hands. Su Yan shouted when he saw the others arrive. The geniuses who came later immediately looked at the golden elephant's left hand. The golden elephant's left hand was still holding onto the God Power Source Pearl. It really is the Divine Power Source Orb. The moment the Sky Prides saw the God Power Source bead, their eyes burned with passion. The Divine Power Source Orb is mine. Jin Xiang, hand over the Divine Power Source Pearl. Several loud roars rang out as at least a dozen Sky Prides pounced towards the golden elephant. One of them exuded a terrifying aura. This person was also a God King who had awakened his origin divine power. He was on the same level as Jin Xiang and Su Yan. Jin Xiang's face turned ugly. If there weren't such people, he wouldn't be afraid. However, with such people and Su Yan, he was no match for them at all. Jin Xiang immediately wanted to escape, but Su Yan held him back. Meanwhile, the other Sky Prides had already arrived. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More than a dozen attacks enveloped Jin Xiang. Void, severing hand, void severing. Jin Xiang shouted as his body emitted a dazzling golden light. He exerted his strength to the extreme and continuously slashed out golden palm prints. However, no matter how hard Jin Xiang tried to block, he was still no match for them. His attacks were defeated and his body shook violently as he drifted backward. His face was a little pale and there was a deep wound on his chest. Jin Xiang turned around and ran without thinking. Don't let him escape. Su Yan roared and was the first to chase after Jin Xiang. The other Sky Prides also moved and chased after Jin Xiang. Soon, they had chased for tens of thousands of miles. Jin Xiang turned into a golden light and tried his best to escape. He was thinking of countermeasures in his mind. However, in the next moment, his expression changed. A group of people appeared in the void in front of him. There were more than a dozen of them, and most of them carried sabers on their backs. Obviously, these people were from the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residents. Jin Xiang was helpless and was about to hand over the Divine Power Source bead to save his life. However, when the Sky Prides from the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residents, saw the Divine Power Source bead in Jin Xiang's hand, they looked at each other and retreated as if they were not going to participate. Jin Xiang was extremely surprised, but he did not have time to think. He flew past them and continued to escape. Su Yan and the others chased after him. Hee, let them kill each other first. One of the Sky Prides from the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residents, sneered. Outside the formation, the 9 Sabers' Heavenly King's face turned ugly. Obviously, the Sky Prides from the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residents, had already received instructions from the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residents, to not compete with the Sky Prides from the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residents. They would first let them kill each other and intensify the conflict between the various families in the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residents. Nine Sabers, in order to achieve your goal, you gave away a divine power source bead for free so that the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residents could produce a top-notch Sky Pride. I wonder if you lost or gained. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King sent a voice transmission to the Nine Sabers Heavenly King, giving you a divine power source bead for free? Nine Sabers, you're really naive. Do you think you can take away the divine power source bead with just your people? The Nine Sabers Heavenly King sneered. Is that so? The Nine Sabers Heavenly King sneered in response, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. Within the formation, although Jin Xiang was not stopped by the Sky Prides from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residents, he did not run far before he encountered other Sky Prides from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residents. When he was surrounded, he had no choice but to throw the divine power source bead out to save his life. In the end, it naturally led to a chaotic battle. No one could get the divine power source bead in the end. As long as someone got the divine power source bead, he would be besieged by the others. The battle became more and more intense, and more Sky Prides from the various families died in the battle. Outside the formation, everyone could see clearly that many families were at loggerheads with each other. If it were not for the Nine Sabers Heavenly King suppressing the situation, some families would have broken out into a war. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King's face was full of smiles. Now, everything was going according to his plan. The conflicts between the various families in the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residents were indeed getting deeper. Also, that brat who ruined my plan, I wonder if he has been killed. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King thought of Lu Ming again. Then, with a wave of his hand, the image in the sky suddenly changed. It switched from a chaotic battle to another image. There was only one person in the image, and that was Lu Ming. After Lu Ming entered the formation, he flew aimlessly. Unfortunately, he did not see the divine power source bead after a long time. This made Lu Ming speechless. Suddenly, Lu Ming stopped because there was a group of Sky Prides in front of him, blocking Lu Ming's path. They were the Sky Prides from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residents. There were more than 10 of them, and each of them was staring coldly at Lu Ming. Chapter 30, 134. A dozen supreme talents from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion stood in front of Lu Ming, their eyes cold. It's that guy called Lu Ming. Haha, it's him. We are in luck. If we kill him, the Heavenly King will reward us handsomely. A few supreme talents from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion spoke, their faces ferocious and excited. Swoosh! Swoosh! In a flash, the supreme talents from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion flew towards Lu Ming, forming an arc and surrounding Lu Ming. Cold auras locked onto Lu Ming. If Lu Ming dared to escape, they would launch a thunderous attack. Leave this kid to me. My previous battle with him is not over yet. A cold voice was heard. Then a young man with a saber on his back stepped out, his violent aura shooting up to the sky. Lu Ming naturally knew this young man. He was the one who wanted to challenge Lu Ming after he defeated 2 supreme talents from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion in a row in the Heavenly King District. This person was someone who had awakened the origin divine power factor. However, before he could fight with Lu Ming, the third prince, 9 Extremes Mu, had arrived and stopped the battle. Now that he had encountered Lu Ming, he would naturally be the first to step out and kill Lu Ming. Kid, now that no one is stopping you, I would like to see what you are capable of. The young man with a saber said coldly. A saber radiance shot up to the sky, and a vast saber power spread out in all directions. Cut the crap, let's fight. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. A long spear appeared in his hand, and with the injection of divine power, the long spear vibrated. In an instant, Lu Ming had activated the fight art, quadrupling his combat strength. His aura was powerful. Kid, remember, the one who will kill you is Duan Jiang. The young man with a saber shouted coldly. Then, a huge spear radiance shot up and slashed towards Lu Ming. The saber radiance swept across a few thousand miles, bringing with it a violent force. Its power was extremely terrifying. Moon slashing. Lu Ming let out a long howl. He waved his long spear and slashed out. A crescent-shaped spear gleam slashed out. Boom! The spear light and the saber light heavily collided, stirring up a monstrous wave of qi. Lu Ming felt a powerful force surging towards him. His figure floated backwards, while Duan Jiang's figure also swayed slightly. Use your full strength. You're still far from being able to deal with me with this level of strength. Lu Ming's disdainful voice sounded. Arrogant, cleaving saber, slash. Duan Jiang shouted as he unsheathed the saber on his back. A shocking saber light burst out, incomparably resplendent, causing people to be unable to open their eyes. The heaven-dispelling saber could dispel the heavens. With unparalleled momentum, it slashed toward Lu Ming. This slash was several times more powerful than the previous one. Lu Ming's pupils contracted. This saber strike made him feel a trace of danger. Roar! An ancient roar came out of Lu Ming's mouth. His body grew rapidly and turned into a green-armored ancient god that was hundreds of meters tall. After transforming into a green-armored ancient god, Lu Ming's strength skyrocketed. Buzz! The spear vibrated and swept out. The spear grew rapidly and was like a mountain range as it charged toward Duan Jiang. Boom! The two of them collided for the second time. The force that was released swept across a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Mountains were blasted away and exploded into pieces. The spear light and the saber light continued to vibrate. After a few breaths, the saber light shook violently and then shattered. The violent force surged toward Duan Jiang, causing him to retreat continuously. Lu Ming's figure also swayed, and he retreated a few steps. However, the distance he retreated was shorter than Duan Jiang. A supreme being who has awakened his origin divine power factor is indeed powerful. Lu Ming could not help but exclaim in his heart. Although he did not use his strongest move, he had almost used his full strength. However, he only managed to gain a slight upper hand. One should know that he could easily crush a First Heaven Supreme being who had not awakened his origin divine power factor and possessed divine grade divine power. It could only be said that a prodigy who had awakened his origin divine power factor was much stronger than a prodigy who had not. Although Lu Ming had awakened his origin divine power factor with two types of divine powers, it was still not enough to make up for the difference. He could only rely on the battle character formula and ancient god body to make up for it. Unless Lu Ming had awakened his origin divine power factor with 5 to 7 types of divine powers, he could make up for the difference. After all, Lu Ming's cultivation was too low. Both of them had awakened their origin divine power factor. How could a 7th heaven god be compared to a 1st heaven supreme being? Lu Ming exclaimed. However, he did not know how shocked Duan Jiang and the prodigies of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residents were. How is this possible? He's only a 7th heaven god. How can he be so powerful? Duan Jiang roared in his heart. He could not remain calm. A 7th heaven god was able to slightly suppress him. He was extremely shocked. Even the strongest prodigy of the war god clan, the one who could lead the war god clan to prosperity, was not this powerful. I don't believe it. Kill, kill. Duan Jiang yelled and unleashed his divine force to the maximum. He executed a terrifying secret technique and slashed continuously with his saber. His saber glow turned into ferocious tigers that charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was fearless. He charged forward with his spear and counterattacked. Bang! 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 The two exchanged blows in the air. At first, Duanjiang was still able to fight a fierce battle with Lu Ming. However, after a dozen moves, Duanjiang was no match for him. He was at a disadvantage and kept backing away. Outside the array, countless people saw this scene and fell into a daze. They were shocked by Lu Ming's strength. "This kid," the 9 Sabers' heavenly king murmured. He could not hide the astonishment in his eyes. Even the 9 Sabers' heavenly king was shocked, let alone the others. The patriarch of the Jin family, the patriarch of the Winged Man clan, and the others were extremely gloomy. They prayed in their hearts that the prodigies of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence could kill Lu Ming. "Duanjiang, today is not the time to fight one-on-one. Killing this kid is our top priority." At that moment, another prodigy of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence said coldly, "That's right. Let's join forces and kill him before anything else happens." The other prodigies of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence chimed in. Clang! Clang! Then they unsheathed their sabers. Saber radiance burst out and stirred up the void. "Kill!" At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly yelled and changed his direction. He thrust his spear at the prodigy of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence. Although he was fighting with Duanjiang, he was aware of the movements of the other prodigies of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence. Since they wanted to join forces to kill him, he made a prompt decision to strike first. He immediately executed his strongest move, the exploding star. The huge spear radiance rushed toward the crowd of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence and exploded. It formed a destructive wave that swept toward the prodigies of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence. "Oh no, retreat! Block it!" The prodigies of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residence did not expect Lu Ming to react so quickly. They had not even made a move yet, but Lu Ming had already launched a counterattack. They were shocked. Some of them retreated while others tried to block the attack. However, given Lu Ming's current cultivation, the exploding star was extremely terrifying. It was not something that ordinary people could block. Chapter 30:135. The destructive waves formed by the exploding stars swept out. Instantly, more than a dozen supreme talents from the 9 Sabers' heavenly king mansion were engulfed. Instantly, screams were heard. Some of the supreme talents who had yet to reach the supreme god realm were torn apart by the destructive energy and died on the spot. In an instant, 7 supreme talents from the 9 Sabers' heavenly king mansion were killed. The other supreme talents who had reached the supreme god realm were also forced to retreat. They spat out mouthfuls of blood, and their bodies were tattered and covered with wounds. Among the crowd, only one youth was unharmed. He was a youth in a fiery red robe. He slashed out a scorching saber radiance and blocked Lu Ming's attack. "You are courting death!" The youth in the fiery red robe roared furiously. His killing intent was extremely cold. It was definitely a great loss to have so many supreme talents killed in one move. Swoosh! The youth in the fiery red robe slashed out with his saber. A fiery saber radiance slashed towards Lu Ming. The terrifying heat was about to burn the space. The youth in the fiery red robe was also a terrifying supreme talent. He was no weaker than Duanjiang and had also awakened the origin divine power factor. Ice chains! Lu Ming's heart jolted. 9 ice chains flew out and intertwined with each other to form a wall in front of him. The fiery saber radiance slashed the wall formed by the ice chains, causing them to vibrate violently. Roar! Roar! On the other side, Duanjiang also launched an attack. His saber radiance formed ferocious tigers that pounced on Lu Ming. Every inch of this kind of ferocious tiger's body was made up of tiny saber gleams. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming dared not be careless. He cast the divine dragon aspect art and condensed 15 nine-clawed divine dragons, which pounced on the ferocious tigers. The two sides fought fiercely. However, Lu Ming could not stop Duanjiang and the youth in the red robe with just the ice chains and the divine dragon image. Rumble. First, the ice chains could not withstand the attacks and began to break apart. Divine flame saber. The youth in the red robe roared. The scorching saber radiance was even more terrifying. It pierced through the ice chains and charged towards Lu Ming. Moon slashing. Lu Ming charged forward with his spear and clashed with the youth. Boom! A dull explosion rang out in the sky. Lu Ming had blocked the opponent's attack, but his body trembled and he retreated continuously. He felt as if his body was enveloped by a sharp flame that could burn him to ashes at any time. Lu Ming continuously released his divine power before he was able to block this ball of flames. On the other side, Duanjiang also broke through the obstruction of the divine dragon Dharma idol and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming was no match for the siege of the two geniuses. Against one of them, Lu Ming could barely suppress the other party if he tried his best. However, against two such geniuses, Lu Ming was no match for them. Die! Kill! The red-robed young man and Duanjiang both shouted as they executed their ultimate moves, charging towards Lu Ming, completely sealing off Lu Ming's escape route. Moon slaying, moon slaying! Divine power surged continuously into Lu Ming's body through the quantification formula. Lu Ming's long spear slashed out continuously as he fought with the other party. In the blink of an eye, both sides had exchanged more than a dozen blows, but Lu Ming was still no match for them. His body trembled as he retreated continuously. He was completely suppressed. Sizzle! Sizzling sounds could be heard from Lu Ming's body. That was the result of the red-robed youth's divine flame, saber landing on his body. Even the 9-layered crimson gold armor could not withstand it and would be burned through. This kid is dead meat. Outside the formation, the 9 Sabers' heavenly king chuckled. Previously, Lu Ming had killed 7 of the 9 Sabers' heavenly king residences, sky prides, in one move, which made the 9 Sabers' heavenly king's face turn ugly. Now that he saw Lu Ming in a critical situation, he finally smiled. Not necessarily, the 9 Sabers' heavenly king said coldly. Then let's wait and see. The 9 Sabers' heavenly king sneered. At this moment, Lu Ming and Duanjiang had exchanged a few more blows. Exploding star! Lu Ming suddenly thrust out his spear, and a spear radiance burst out and exploded. Exploding star could be said to be Lu Ming's strongest move. Its power was astonishing, and the terrifying destructive force directly blasted Duanjiang back. Lu Ming's figure flashed and took the opportunity to escape from the encirclement. Don't go! If you have the guts, let's fight to the death. Duanjiang and the red-robed young man roared. Who said I'm leaving? Lu Ming stood in the air with a spear in hand. His aura was violent, and he had no intention of retreating. Lu Ming still had a trump card that he had not used, which was the quintuple combat strength increase of the battle character art. Lu Ming had just comprehended the quintuple combat strength increase of the battle character art, and the success rate of triggering it was extremely low, only 1 in 50. Once it was triggered successfully, Lu Ming's strength would skyrocket, and he would not be afraid of Duanjiang and the red-robed young man. As Lu Ming spoke, he kept triggering the battle character art, hoping to trigger it successfully. It's best if you don't leave, Duanjiang shouted. Just as he was about to rush towards Lu Ming, his face suddenly changed. He looked behind Lu Ming, and the red-robed young man did the same. Lu Ming also sensed something strange behind him. He released his spiritual senses and discovered that some figures were flying toward him at high speed. Obviously, the battle here had alerted the other sky prides nearby. There were about a dozen people, and they were extremely fast. In a few moments, they appeared 1,000 miles behind Lu Ming and stopped. They're from the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King Palace. Duan Jiang and the red-robed young man's faces darkened. The people behind them were the sky prides of the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King Palace. In their opinion, the sky prides of the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King Palace would naturally help Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming had a helper, it would be difficult to kill Lu Ming today. Everyone, this person has killed many of our experts. We must avenge him. I hope you won't interfere. Duan Jiang looked at the people behind Lu Ming and said, "Don't interfere? No, no, no." Behind Lu Ming, a young man shook his head, causing Duan Jiang's face to turn gloomier. However, the young man suddenly changed the topic and said, "Since you want to kill Lu Ming, we want to kill him too. So let's join forces." What? Duan Jiang and the red-robed young man were stunned by his words. Lu Ming's face did not change. Everything was within his expectations, because the people behind them were old acquaintances of Lu Ming. These people were divided into two groups. They were the sky prides of the Winged Man family and the Qin family. Lu Ming smiled bitterly in his heart. It seemed like he was really unlucky. There were the sky prides of the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King Palace in front of him, and now there were the Winged Man family and the Qin family. This Lu Ming has a blood feud with our two families. He must die. A young man from the Winged Man family added. This person flapped his wings, emitting streaks of lightning. He was also a terrifying expert. I see. Ha ha ha. Great. Let's join forces and turn this person into ashes. Duan Jiang laughed. His saber aura surged, and the saber radiance was shocking. He slashed at Lu Ming. At the same time, the red-robed young man also attacked. He slashed at Lu Ming with his divine flame saber. Kill! Behind them, the sky prides of the Winged Man family and the Qin family attacked together, bursting out terrifying attacks. Dozens of attacks blasted toward Lu Ming from all directions. Their power was extremely shocking. Chapter 30-136. The Sky Pride of the Nine Blades, Heavenly King Mansion, the Qin family and the Winged Man family teamed up and launched dozens of attacks at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face turned solemn. Ice chains, 9 layers of crimson golden armor, sky-piercing. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming unleashed various means. The ice chain and the 9 layers of crimson gold armor protected his entire body. At the same time, the long spear stabbed madly. In an instant, dozens of spear gleams pierced in all directions. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming's face changed drastically. His attacks were crushed by the 4 terrifying forces and exploded continuously. Boom! Boom! The 4 attacks pierced through Lu Ming's defense and sent Lu Ming flying as he coughed out mouthfuls of blood. Origin Divine Force Factor, Lu Ming muttered under his breath with a solemn face. He realized that the Winged Man family and the Qin family each had a first-layer Divine King Realm Sky Pride who had awakened their Origin Divine Force Factor. Including Duan Jiang and the red-robed youth, there were 4 of them. There were 4 Sky Prides of this level. 2 of them teamed up and Lu Ming was no match for them. 4 of them teamed up and Lu Ming was no match for them. Seems like it's easier to awaken one's Origin Divine Force Factor after reaching the Divine King Realm. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He didn't believe that all of them had awakened their Origin Divine Force Factor when they were below the Divine King Realm. The lower one's cultivation, the harder it was to awaken their Origin Divine Force Factor. There were so many Sky Prides in the Universal Camp, but only a few could awaken their Origin Divine Force Factor when they were below the Divine King Realm. But now, Lu Ming had encountered 4 in a short while. Most of them had awakened their Origin Divine Force after breaking through to the Divine King Realm. After breaking through to the Divine King Realm, one's origin divine force would increase tremendously, and their understanding of it would also increase. Some of the half-step divine king realm sky prides who had awakened their origin divine force factor at 99% would have a higher chance of awakening their origin divine force factor after breaking through to the divine king realm. Duan Jiang and the red-robed youth's eyes lit up when they realized that the winged man family and the Qin family had such experts. "Kid, let's see how you're going to die. Kill!" Duan Jiang roared as he charged towards Lu Ming. At the same time, the other sky prides also attacked. "Retreat!" Lu Ming executed the Nine Heavens Garuda technique and rapidly retreated. At the same time, he constantly activated the battle formula. However, his luck wasn't good. The battle incantation's quintuple combat power hadn't been triggered yet. "You want to leave? Today you must die." That genius from the winged clan who had awakened, his quintessence god force, snorted coldly. With a flap of his wings, his body transformed into a bolt of lightning as he shot out with astonishing speed. The thunder-winged man cultivated the god power and awakened the god power origin. Everything was related to thunder and lightning. Once the thunder-winged man burst out, his speed was terrifying. Moreover, he had the cultivation of the first sky of King God Realm. Thus, he was much faster than Lu Ming. After a few flashes, he caught up with Lu Ming. "Lightning cage!" The youth from the winged clan coldly shouted. His wings flapped, and boundless lightning erupted, forming a cage that enveloped Lu Ming within. Lu Ming brandished his spear and struck the lightning cage. But the lightning cage only shook. It would be difficult to break it in a short period of time. The attacks of the others had also arrived. Lu Ming could only defend with all his might. However, against four geniuses like Duan Jiang and the support of other geniuses, Lu Ming was in danger. He was no match for them at all. Although he tried his best to defend himself, he couldn't completely block them. Bang! A terrifying fist energy struck Lu Ming's body. It was the seven-injuring fist of the Qin clan's genius. Its destructive power was astonishing. Lu Ming's body was sent flying, crashing into the lightning cage. The lightning cage exploded and Lu Ming spurted out blood from his mouth. This scene was witnessed by the people outside the array. "Hee, this kid is finally going to be killed. Die, die." The people from the Jin clan, Winged clan, and Qin clan were roaring in their hearts. Facing such a situation, they didn't believe that Lu Ming would be able to survive. The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King sneered. He looked at the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King and sneered, "Nine Sabers' Heavenly King, looks like your people aren't united at all." "Ha-ha. Humph." The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King's face was cold and he didn't answer. The Wu clan and some people who were close to Lu Ming were worried. "Is such a talented genius going to die today?" Someone whispered. Lu Ming's talent had shocked most of the people. Now that they saw that Lu Ming was at risk of dying, many of them felt it was a pity. At this moment, Lu Ming was indeed in a precarious situation. After the first wave of attacks, the second wave of attacks came immediately. "Trigger, trigger, damn it," Lu Ming roared in his heart. At this moment, it was difficult for the battle formula to trigger 5 times combat strength. One of the reasons was that the probability of the battle formula triggering 5 times combat strength was low. Another reason was that he couldn't trigger it wholeheartedly because of the continuous attacks from the others. "I can't die. Starburst, starburst," Lu Ming roared in his heart. His eyes were ferocious as he continuously used the starburst technique. Now he could only rely on himself to fight for the divine power source speed. Naturally, he couldn't rely on external forces. Therefore, Qiu naturally couldn't follow Lu Ming. Lu Ming could only rely on himself. Continuously using the starburst technique could only temporarily stop the other party. Lu Ming's crisis wasn't over yet. Heaven Dispelling Blade. Thunder Slash. 7 injuries, Divine Fist. Divine Flame Battle Blade. The four strongest Sky Prides unleashed their strongest attacks, destroying the destructive power of the Starburst technique and charging towards Lu Ming. Block it, Lu Ming shouted. The divine power in his body circulated crazily, squeezing out all of his divine power and raising his condition to the extreme. Boom! At this moment, in the face of danger, Lu Ming's mind seemed to have exploded. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly calmed down. Lu Ming became extremely calm as if he had entered an ethereal state. The ethereal state of life and death. Under the threat of death, Lu Ming once again touched upon this mysterious and profound state. In this realm, Lu Ming suddenly had a new understanding of the various divine skills, secret skills, and various kinds of divine powers that he had cultivated, especially regarding the Sovereign's divine power. Under Blue Merchant's guidance, Lu Ming's understanding of the Sovereign's divine power was the deepest. He had already reached the peak of the first awakening. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to have touched upon something within the Sovereign's divine power essence. He seemed to have seen a door within the Sovereign's divine power essence. Yes, it was a door, an ancient stone door. It was incomparably huge and exuded a boundless aura. Lu Ming could sense a terrifying power from this stone door. He tried to approach the stone door, and to his surprise, he succeeded. He touched the edge of the stone door. At this moment, he also had a feeling that he could borrow the power of this stone door. Boom! A violent explosion rang out, and Lu Ming's mind cleared. He had left the ethereal state of life and death. Meanwhile, the attacks from all directions were coming at him from all directions. At this moment, Lu Ming instinctively activated his Sovereign's divine power without hesitation. A stone door appeared above his head. Chapter 30:137. A stone door appeared above Lu Ming's head. This stone door was the one that Lu Ming had seen in the Sovereign God Force, Quintessence God Force. However, the stone door was extremely dim at this moment, as if it would collapse at any moment. Kill! Lu Ming controlled the stone door. The stone door suddenly shook, and a terrifying energy burst out. Boom! 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 This energy was shockingly strong. When it collided with the attacks of Duanjiang and the others, it actually neutralized all of their attacks. Quintessence Secret Technique. This is the Quintessence Secret Technique. Lu Ming's heart beat wildly. He had a feeling that this should be the Quintessence Secret Technique, a secret technique that was comprehended from the Quintessence God Force. Lu Ming didn't expect that he would comprehend the Quintessence Secret Technique when he was in a state of emptiness of life and death. However, Lu Ming's control over the stone door was extremely weak. The stone door could collapse at any moment. I have to leave and find a place to comprehend it properly. Otherwise, I might waste this opportunity. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Then he exerted all his strength to control the faintly discernible stone door, and suddenly attacked the strongest Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan. This Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan was too fast. If he wanted to attack, he would attack this person first. Buzz! The faintly discernible stone door pressed down on the Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan. A berserk energy surged towards the Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan. Thunderbolt slash! The Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan hastily attacked to block, but when the stone door pressed down, the Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan's attack directly collapsed. Boom! The faintly discernible stone door bombarded the Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan. The Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan let out a miserable shriek as his body was sent flying over 10,000 li, scattering feathers all over the sky. The Heaven's Pride of the Winged Clan was heavily injured by a single move. His body almost exploded, and his aura was extremely weak. What a powerful force! Lu Ming was inwardly shocked. The power of the stone door had exceeded his expectations. Lu Ming could barely control it, and couldn't display much of its power. However, he still managed to heavily injure the heaven's pride of the winged clan, who had awakened quintessence, God Force, God Force, God Force. Unfortunately, after that attack, the stone door trembled and disappeared like a phantom. Go! Lu Ming took the opportunity to use the Garuda technique and rushed out of the encirclement. He turned into a rainbow light and rushed into the distance. Lu Ming had heavily injured the winged clan's heaven's pride with a single move, causing Duan Jiang and the others to be slightly stunned. By the time they reacted and wanted to chase after him, it was already too late. Lu Ming had already rushed 100,000 miles away. Their speed was far inferior to that of the winged clan's genius. Even if they wanted to chase after him now, it was already too late. However, they were unwilling to give up. Chase! Duan Jiang roared and turned into a saber light, chasing after Lu Ming. The red-robed young man did the same and quickly chased after him. The expression of the Qin clan's prodigy changed, but he didn't pursue. Duan Jiang and the red-robed young man chased for a while, but they failed to catch up with Lu Ming. Instead, the distance between them and Lu Ming was increasing. In the end, they completely lost track of Lu Ming. Damn it! Duan Jiang and the red-robed young man roared, their expressions extremely ugly. So many experts had besieged Lu Ming, but Lu Ming had escaped. They were furious. What kind of attack was that? Duan Jiang and the red-robed young man thought of the faintly discernible stone door that Lu Ming controlled, and a trace of fear flashed in their eyes. That kind of attack not only blocked their attacks, but also severely injured a heaven's pride of the same level as them. Its power was terrifying. They naturally didn't know that it was Lu Ming's origin source secret skill. Even Lu Ming himself was only guessing and couldn't be sure. Ha ha ha. Outside the formation, the Nine Sabers' heavenly king laughed heartily, causing the Nine Sabers' heavenly king's face to darken. Compared to before, the two of them were the exact opposite. As for the Jin clan, Winged clan, and Qin clan experts, their faces were extremely gloomy. Under such conditions, Lu Ming had escaped, which made them feel somewhat indignant. The Nine Sabers' heavenly king waved his hand, and the scene in the sky changed again. Lu Ming's figure continued to appear. Lu Ming was seen flying rapidly in a direction. After flying for a few hours, Lu Ming stopped. It's here. Lu Ming muttered to himself. Then he swooped down and dashed toward the ground. The long spear in his hand spun rapidly. Like a drill, it drilled a hole in the ground, and Lu Ming rushed in. In the scene, there was no trace of Lu Ming. This scene could only be seen from a bird's eye view. If one was blocked by obstacles, they wouldn't be able to see it. Lu Ming had entered the ground, so they naturally couldn't see it. The Nine Sabers' heavenly king could only continue to change the scene, and it landed on the fight for the divine power source pearl. More and more heaven's prides joined in the fight for the divine power source pearl, and the battle became more and more intense. However, none of this had anything to do with Lu Ming. After Lu Ming rushed into the ground, he opened up a huge space in the depths of the ground, blocking the entrance. Lu Ming began to cultivate in this underground space. Is it an origin secret technique or not? Lu Ming's eyes shone with desire. If it was really an origin secret technique, then he would have struck gold. Immediately, Lu Ming circulated his sovereign's god force at full force, carefully comprehending the feeling he had before. In the beginning, he didn't feel anything. However, 2 days later, Lu Ming saw the stone door through the sovereign's origin god force. Buzz! Lu Ming tried to control the stone door, causing it to vibrate slightly. However, he was still unfamiliar with it. Lu Ming's thoughts moved, and a stone door appeared above his head. However, it was very blurry, faintly discernible. Soon it collapsed. Not enough proficiency. Continue to comprehend, Lu Ming muttered under his breath, and then focused on comprehending the stone door. Time passed day by day. Lu Ming became more proficient in using the stone door, and the stone door became clearer when it appeared. The time Lu Ming could use the stone door also increased greatly. On this day, the stone door shook violently, emitting a resplendent light. Then, 3 words appeared in Lu Ming's mind. Sovereign's Gate. Sovereign's Gate. It's really an origin secret technique. Ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed heartily, extremely excited. This time, he had entered this grand formation to fight for the divine power source pearl and awaken his origin secret technique. However, before he could obtain the divine power source pearl, Lu Ming had already awakened his origin secret technique. This was definitely a great harvest. If Duan Jiang and the others know that not only did they not kill me, but they also helped me awaken my origin secret technique, I wonder what their expressions will be like. Lu Ming muttered under his breath. Duan Jiang and the others originally wanted to kill Lu Ming. In the end, not only did they fail to kill Lu Ming, but they even helped Lu Ming awaken his origin secret technique. If they knew, they would probably vomit blood from anger. There's still more than a day before the 1-month deadline. Forget it. I'll stop cultivating and go out for a stroll. I can't miss the divine power source pearl. Let's see if I can find one. Lu Ming muttered under his breath, then left the underground space. Chapter 30:138. Although Lu Ming had awakened the origin source secret skill, Lu Ming had mastered more than one type of divine power. Inextinguishable sword force. Lu Ming had also awakened the origin source divine power factor and could also awaken the origin source secret skill. Lu Ming did not mind having too many divine power source beads. After leaving the underground space, Lu Ming flew towards the core of the formation. After flying for a while, Lu Ming actually did not meet anyone. Where did everyone go? Could it be that the time has passed? No, I've calculated there's still more than a day. Lu Ming was a little confused and continued to fly forward. Suddenly, he saw a few figures flying quickly in a direction. These people were the geniuses of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion and did not have any conflict with Lu Ming. Everyone, where are you going? Lu Ming quickly caught up and asked, Lu Ming. When the geniuses saw Lu Ming, their expressions changed. One of them said, I heard that there are many geniuses fighting for the divine power source beads some distance ahead. Let's go and take a look. Fighting for the divine power source beads? Looks like the divine power source beads have no owners yet. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and immediately followed the few young men and flew forward. Outside the formation, everyone stared at the big screen in the sky without blinking. The atmosphere was particularly solemn. Many experts of the families were exuding a cold aura. For nearly a month, the fight for the divine power source beads had not stopped. There were battles and killings every day. Every day, there would be geniuses falling. The major families of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion had suffered heavy losses, and the conflicts were getting deeper. Therefore, outside the formation, the experts of the major worlds were furious. If it were not for the 9 Extinction Heavenly King, they would have really started a war. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King was full of smiles. His goal had been achieved. The conflicts between the major families of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King had deepened to the point that it could not be eased. It could be expected that after this incident, the friction between the major families would definitely intensify. Internal friction in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. This was the 9 Sabers Heavenly King's goal. On the screen, a huge group of geniuses had surrounded a valley so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out. This valley flickered with light, and streak after streak of symbols appeared. It was actually a great formation that protected this valley. In the valley, there were 6 or 7 youths trying their best to maintain the formation. Outside the valley, a large group of youths was attacking continuously, trying to break the formation. However, the formation was abnormally strong, and they couldn't break it in a short period of time. Zhao Mo, Hand over the divine power source pearl, shouted someone in the crowd. His entire body was shining with a golden light. That person was one of the 4 heroes of the Jin clan, Jinju. He had already recovered from the injuries he had sustained during the fight for the god power source bead. Whoosh! A beam of golden sword light shot out from his hand and landed on the formation. The formation shook, but it did not break. Around the golden elephant, there were at least 7 or 8 sky prides of the same level as him. They attacked together, including the 2 sky prides from the Wing tribe and the Qin tribe who had awakened their divine origin power. With so many peerless geniuses and other geniuses attacking at the same time, how terrifying would their power be? However, they were unable to break through the formation of the valley in a short amount of time. The people from the Zhao tribe are really cunning. They must have started to set up the formation the moment they entered this place. The sky prides from the Winged tribe shouted angrily. He had been severely injured by looming back then, but he had recovered by now. The other sky prides also had ugly expressions. The Zhao tribe was also a large tribe in the 9 extinction Heavenly King residents. They specialized in formations. The sky prides of the Zhao tribe must have set up the formation the moment they entered the competition. Otherwise, a formation that was set up in a hurry would not be so powerful. Only a formation that was set up in advance would be so powerful. They had been attacking for a day and a night, but they still couldn't break through the formation. The strongest prodigy of the Zhao clan, Zhao Mo, was also a prodigy who had awakened his origin source divine power. After he had snatched the divine power source pearl, he had led the members of the Zhao clan to hide in this valley. He had made use of the array that had been set up beforehand to fend off the attacks of others. The other sky prides had gathered and attacked the formation for a day and a night, but they still couldn't break through it. There was only about a day left until the 1-month deadline. As long as the divine power source pearl was still in Zhao Mo's hands, according to the rules, the divine power source pearl would belong to Zhao Mo. You can't break through it. Give up. Zhao Mo's voice came from the valley. Nonsense. How can there be an unbreakable formation? I think it won't take long for us to break through it. Jin Xiang shouted. He had a strong desire for the divine power source pearl. You can break through it, but you won't be able to do it within a day. Zhao Mo said. Not necessarily. Quick, attack with all your might. I don't believe we can't break through this formation. Jin Xiang roared angrily. His body emitted a golden light like a golden man as he continuously slashed at the formation. The other sky prides also unleashed their full strength. Their attacks landed on the formation, causing it to explode. In the valley, Zhao Mo and the other members of the Zhao tribe trembled slightly as their faces turned pale. Controlling the formation to block the attacks of so many sky prides had put them under a lot of pressure. They can't hold on much longer. Continue attacking. We'll definitely be able to break through this formation in less than a day. Jin Xiang roared when he saw this scene. The others also sped up their attacks, as if they had taken stimulants. Brother Wu, Brother Wei, our tribes have always been on good terms. Are you going to help others attack us too? At this moment, Zhao Mo looked at 2 young men and said loudly. One of the 2 young men was a sky pride of the Wu tribe, while the other was a sky pride of the Wei tribe. They were the leaders of the 2 tribes in the fight for the divine power source, pearl this time. Both of them had awakened their origin, divine power. For the sake of the divine power source pearl, we can only apologize. The sky pride of the Wei tribe said, There's only one divine power source pearl, but there are so many people. Even if you break through our formation, how confident are you in obtaining the divine power source pearl? Zhao Mo said loudly. This made the expressions of the sky prides of the Wu tribe and Wei tribe change slightly. Indeed, there were too many experts on the scene, including many sky prides of the same level as them. Even if they managed to break through the Zhao tribe's formation, How confident were they in obtaining the divine power source pearl? Zhao Mo is trying to sow discord. If we don't break through their formation, we won't have any chance at all. Once we break through their formation, we'll compete with our own strength. Jin Xiang snapped coldly. Compete with our own strength? How much hope do we have? There are so many people here, and the people of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King's residence have yet to show up. They might be nearby and reap the benefits. Zhao Mo yelled. Not only were the sky prides of the Wu tribe and Wei tribe startled, the others were startled too. That was indeed the case. They were not idiots, thus they immediately figured it out. During this period, the people of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King's residence had yet to make their move. It was very likely that they would make their move at the last moment. Feng Yin Reading Network. Chapter 3139. If the people from the Nine Blades' Heavenly King residence took action, the chances of obtaining the divine power source bead would be even smaller. A small chance doesn't mean it's none. If we allow the divine power source bead to fall into Zhao Mo's hands, we won't stand a chance at all. Jin Xiang said coldly. Brother Wu, Brother Wei, as long as you help me block them, I'll compensate you accordingly when I obtain the divine power source bead. I'll give each of you a supreme grade, rank 7 divine artifact. How about that? Zhao Mo's voice was heard again. His words made the Wu and Wei family sky pride's eyes light up. A supreme grade divine artifact was a divine artifact used by a divine king realm expert. A rank 7 divine artifact was a high-grade, supreme-grade divine artifact. Not only were they rare, but their value was also shocking. Zhao Mo's offer of a rank 7 divine artifact was definitely tempting. The two leaders of the Wu and Wei families looked at each other and nodded silently. They had made up their minds. All right, I'll help Brother Zhao. Me too. The leaders of the Wu and Wei families spoke one after another. In a flash, they appeared at the edge of the valley. Since the leaders of the two families had agreed to help the Zhao family, the other sky prides of the two families naturally had no objections and followed beside them. Boom! Boom! They unleashed their attacks and helped Zhao Mo block a portion of the attacks. Instead of continuing to fight for the divine power source bead, they chose to help Zhao Mo. If they continued to fight, they might not be able to break through Zhao Mo's formation within a day. Even if they could, it would be a chaotic battle. Just like what Zhao Mo had said, their chances of obtaining the divine power source bead were too small. They might as well help Zhao Mo and obtain a supreme grade, rank 7 divine artifact. You, Jin Xiang, and the others were enraged. Since they want to help Zhao Mo, we'll kill them too. Kill. The other sky prides attacked in anger. Some continued to attack the formation, while others attacked the sky prides of the Wu and Wei families. However, with the attacks scattered, it was even harder for them to break through the Zhao family's formation. For a moment, it was a stalemate. Seeing that a day was about to pass, Jin Xiang and the others became more and more anxious. Outside the formation, Nine Blades, you tried your best to sow discord between the families of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace, but you gave us a divine power source bead to create a peerless sky pride. Nine Extinction Heavenly King said to Nine Blades Heavenly King, help your Nine Extinction Heavenly King mansion create a peerless genius? What a joke! Do you think the people from your Nine Extinction Heavenly King mansion can obtain the divine power source pearl? The Nine Sabers Heavenly King asked in return with a mocking smile. In that case, do you think the divine power source pearl will be taken away by the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's sky pride? There was less than a day left before the 1-month deadline. Even if the sky prides from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence were to make a move now, they might not be able to obtain the divine force source pearl. King Lu Wang King, TTTT Palace in of them. For some reason, the Nine Absolute Heavenly King had a bad premonition in his heart. He knew the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King, very well. The Nine Sabers, Heavenly King, would not make a move that he was not confident in. This time he had mobilized so many people to come here. He was probably fully prepared. Within the formation, the attacks continued. However, the attacks were all blocked by the Zhao clan's formation and the geniuses of the Wu and Wei clans. There was still half a day before the 1-month deadline. The people from the Nine Blades, Heavenly King Mansion, are here. At this moment, someone roared. Everyone's gazes involuntarily turned in a certain direction. A group of young men and women walked in the air. Their footsteps were neither slow nor slow. They were from the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm. Previously, the Sky Prides did not participate in the fight for the Divine Power Source Pearl. Now, at the last moment, the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm appeared. Zhao Mo's face changed. If the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm joined the fight, he would be in trouble. The fight is intense. However, it's over now. The Divine Power Source Pearl is the treasure of the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm. You can't take it. A Sky Pride from the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm, sneered with confidence. They slowly moved toward the valley. Jin Xing, Qin Feng, let's work together. As long as you help me stop the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm, I'll give each of you a superior grade, rank 7 divine weapon. Zhao Emo shouted. The Zhao family was good at formations and refining weapons. Hence, they had the most divine weapons among the other families. Jin Xiang and the others were surprised. Which is more important, the Divine Power Source Pearl or the Divine Weapon? As long as you get the Divine Power Source Pearl, you can awaken your origin source secret technique. When the Great Void Imperial Family Sacred Academy convenes, you will be valued by the Sacred Emperor. Which one will you choose? So, let's break this formation first. When the time comes, whoever gets the Divine Power Source Pearl will depend on their own abilities. Everyone, what do you think? The voice of a Sky Pride from the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm spread across the place. It was very tempting. All right, let's work together and break this formation. Jin Xiang was the first to speak. All right, I agree. Me too. The leaders of the other major worlds agreed to work together with the Sky Prides from the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm. They would first break the formation and then compete for the Divine Power Source Pearl with their own abilities. Compared to the superior grade rank 7 divine weapon, the Divine Power Source Pearl was naturally more attractive. Although the superior grade rank 7 divine weapon was precious, it was still far from the Divine Power Source Pearl. They would rather take the risk. Very well. The Sky Pride from the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm chuckled and came out of the valley. The Sky Prides from the Wu family and Wei family looked solemn as they slowly retreated out of the valley. The Sky Prides, who had joined the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm, were too powerful. They could not resist at all. If they tried to stop them, they would only get themselves killed. Attack! A youth from the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm, shouted coldly. Instantly, his divine power went berserk. Streaks of terrifying saber radiance shot up into the sky and blasted toward the formation in the valley. There was no lack of supreme beings who had awakened their origin, source, divine power in the Nine Blades, Heavenly King realm. Their abilities were very shocking. At the same time, Jin Xiang and the others also attacked. A few hundred terrifying attacks blasted toward the valley. Boom, boom, boom. The formation that the Zhao family had set up started to shake violently. Although the formation had been set up by the Sky Prides of the Zhao family in advance and had amazing defensive abilities, it could not withstand the attacks of so many Sky Prides. Crack, crack. After a few rounds of attacks, cracks appeared on the formation. Many people's eyes lit up. The formation was about to break. They were prepared to fight for the Divine Power Source Pearl at any time. Here, the Divine Power Source Pearl. Zhao Emo gritted his teeth. Although he was reluctant, he still made the decision to throw the divine power source pearl in his hand out. If he did not throw the divine power source pearl out, he would not be able to keep it when the formation broke. By then, he and the sky prides of the Zhao family would all die. The divine power source pearl turned into a beam of light and flew into the distance. Chapter 3140. The divine force source bead drew an arc in the air and flew far away, attracting everyone's attention. Swoosh! 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 Suddenly, the figures stopped their attacks and rushed towards the divine force source bead. Among them, the leader of the Winged Man family was the fastest. He caught up with the divine force source bead like a bolt of lightning and grabbed it in his hand. The leader of the Winged Man family was overjoyed when he caught the divine force source bead. He flapped his wings and rushed forward like a bolt of lightning. With his speed, he was confident that he could shake them off. As long as he could hold on for half a day, the divine force source bead would be his. His face was filled with ecstasy. Not good. Chase! Jin Xiang and the rest shouted. Jin Xiang, the leader of the Qin family, was on good terms with the Winged Man family. However, he could not care less about their previous relationship and rushed towards the leader. Other sky prides, including the sky prides from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence, also rushed towards the leader of the Winged Man family. Buzz, 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 the leader of the Winged Man family was covered in lightning and turned into a bolt of lightning. His speed was much faster than the other sky prides. The distance between him and the other sky prides was getting further and further. If this continued, he could easily escape and drag on for half a day. Damn it! Many sky prides roared in anger. The leader of the Winged Man family, including the experts outside the array, were all overjoyed. However, at this moment, a terrifying saber radiance shot up into the sky. This saber radiance was extremely dazzling, like a bright moon in the sky. It flashed out and rushed towards the leader of the Winged Man family at an astonishing speed. Its speed was not inferior to the leader of the Winged Man family. Everyone's eyes narrowed. It was a white-robed youth from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence. His expression was indifferent, and his gaze was like a divine saber. Slash! The white-robed youth said softly and slashed down with the saber in his hand. Suddenly, a saber radiance burst out. It was tens of thousands of miles long and slashed towards the leader of the Winged Man family. In an instant, the saber radiance appeared above the leader of the Winged Man family and slashed down with terrifying force. The leader of the Winged Man family's face changed. He roared and flapped his wings. Countless lightning bolts turned into a sword and shot up into the sky, trying to block the saber radiance that was slashing towards him. However, when the saber light fell, the lightning formed by the lightning immediately collapsed. The saber light did not stop and continued to slash down. How is this possible? The leader of the Winged family let out a roar of disbelief. He had never imagined that his all-out attack would actually be unable to block the other party. At the critical moment, he opened his mouth and spat out a defensive divine artifact that floated above his head. Boom! The saber light slashed onto the defensive divine artifact. The defensive divine artifact shook violently and heavily smashed onto the body of the Winged Clan's leader. With a miserable scream, his body fell to the ground like a meteor, smashing a huge crater in the ground. Whoosh! The white-robed young man appeared above the huge pit and looked down coldly. The leader of the Winged family half knelt on the ground, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. He looked at the white-robed youth in the sky with incomparable shock. The other sky prides also stopped nearby and looked at the white-robed young man in shock, especially the prodigies of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace, like Jin Xiang. They knew how intimidating the leader of the Wings family was. He had the first sky of King God realm and had awakened the original God power. He was an invincible character at the same level. Not many people in the first sky of King God realm could defeat him. However, the white-robed youth was able to injure his opponent in one move. What kind of strength was this? How can he be so strong? Is his cultivation base not at the first sky of King God realm? Someone whispered. They thought that the white-robed youth's cultivation base was higher than the first sky of King God realm. No, his cultivation base is still at the first sky of King God realm. First sky of King God realm? How can he be so strong? Original God power. It's because of the original God power. This person has awakened the original God power twice. What? The second awakening of God power? The sky prides at the scene gasped in shock. Every awakening of God power was harder and harder. The second awakening was at least 10 times harder than the first. The first awakening was already difficult enough. The second awakening was even more difficult. The white-robed youth was only at the first sky of King God realm, but he had already awakened his God power a second time. It was too terrifying. It was several times harder than the first awakening of a half-step King God realm. No wonder the white-robed youth's strength was so terrifying. The second awakening of God power was much more powerful than the first awakening. There was no comparison at all. At the same level, a person who had awakened his God power a second time could easily kill a person who had awakened his God power a first time. Outside the formation, all the experts were astonished. It's the second awakening. A first sky of King God realm can awaken his God power a second time. It's too terrifying. What a monster! Many big shots exclaimed. The 9 sabers' heavenly king's face was gloomy. He looked at the 9 sabers' heavenly king and said, "So this is why you're so confident. There's such a sky pride in the 9 sabers' heavenly king mansion. No one can compete with him." Ha ha ha! Thanks for the compliment. The 9 sabers' heavenly king laughed heartily. This time his plan was a complete success. The divine power source bead was such a precious treasure. He had no intention of giving it to the sky prides of the 9 sabers' heavenly king mansion. He had planned to give the divine power source bead to the white-robed youth. Holding this event was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Firstly, it could destroy the relationship between the major families in the 9 sabers' heavenly king mansion and sow discord. Secondly, the divine power source bead would eventually return to the white-robed youth. It was equivalent to giving it to the white-robed youth. The other sky prides of the 9 sabers' heavenly king mansion would have nothing to say. The 9 sabers' heavenly king felt even better at the thought of it. On the other hand, the 9 sabers' heavenly king was the opposite. His face was gloomy. He knew that he had been played by the 9 sabers' heavenly king. Within the formation, the white-robed youth stood high up in the sky and looked down at the leader of the winged man family. His indifferent voice was heard. "Hand over the divine power source bead, or die." His tone was domineering and unquestionable. The leader of the winged man family looked ghastly. If he did not hand it over, he would definitely die. Wait a minute. The divine power source bead is now in the hands of the 9 sabers' heavenly king mansion. Let's delay it for half a day before we discuss the distribution. We must not let the 9 sabers' heavenly king mansion get it. At that moment, a voice was heard. It was the leader of the Wu family. That's right. No matter what, the divine power source bead will fall into the hands of the 9 sabers' heavenly king mansion. Zhao Emo spoke up. That's right. The other sky prides also spoke up. The leaders of the major families stepped into the air and slowly closed in on the white-robed youth. Although the white-robed youth had awakened his divine power for the second awakening and was powerful, with so many of them joining forces, they could defeat him. Chapter 30, 141. The leaders of the various families in the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion slowly closed in on the white-robed youth. These leaders were all in the first layer divine king realm and had awakened their origin divine force. With so many of them joining forces, they could defeat the white-robed youth. "You're courting death," the white-robed youth said coldly. His eyes were like lightning as he unsheathed his saber. A vast saber radiance slashed towards the leader of the Wu family. The saber radiance condensed like a real divine weapon. It was filled with an ancient aura. The divine force of a second awakening was extremely terrifying. The leader of the Wu family was shocked. He threw out a punch with both of his fists, and countless war horses appeared in the void. The war horses stepped on the air and rushed forward. "Brother Wu, let me help you." "Attack!" Beside the leader of the Wu family was the leader of the Wei family and Zhao Emo. The two of them attacked together. A total of 3 attacks blasted towards the white-robed youth. Boom! 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 The dazzling saber radiance slashed down and collided with the attacks of the 3, causing a terrifying explosion. However, even though it was 3 against 1, Zhao Emo and the other 2 were still at a disadvantage. Their attacks were constantly crushed by the saber radiance. In the end, the 3 of them retreated with pale faces. The 3 of them were extremely shocked. The strength of a second awakening was truly terrifying. Bang! The white-robed youth took a step forward and a saber radiance appeared under his feet. A terrifying saber radiance burst out, and its power was like a storm. Zhao Emo and the other 2 were shocked. "Let's attack together. With so many of us, I don't believe we can't defeat him," the leader of the Wu family shouted. "All right, let's attack together." The leaders of the other families spoke and unleashed a powerful aura. They approached the leader of the Wu family and Zhao Emo and the other 2, planning to attack the white-robed youth together. "Why? Trying to bully us with numbers? Do you think we're decorations?" At this moment, a mocking voice was heard from the other side. Then, a sharp aura rushed out and locked onto the leader of the Wu family and the others. It was the other supreme talents of the 9 Sabers' Heavenly King Mansion. They stepped out and forced the leader of the Wu family to attack Zhao Emo and the others. Zhao Emo and the others were shocked. There were many supreme talents of the same level as them in the 9 Sabers' Heavenly King Mansion. With these people and the white-robed youth joining forces, they would definitely be defeated. For a moment, Zhao Emo and the others stood on the spot and did not dare to attack. Hand over the divine power source orb. The white-robed youth no longer paid attention to Zhao Emo and the others. His gaze once again landed on the leader of the winged clan. "Here." The leader of the winged clan clenched his teeth. Although he was unwilling, he still threw the divine power source pearl towards the white-robed youth. The white-robed young man waved his hand and grabbed the divine power source bead. Many fervent gazes stared at the divine power source bead in the hands of the white-robed youth. Although they yearned for it, no one made a move. For a time, the scene was dead silent. No one made a move and no one fought. Time passed slowly. Although the sky prides of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion desired the divine power source pearl, they understood that they were powerless to fight for it in the hands of an expert like the white-robed youth. Just like that, there were only 2 hours left before the 1-month deadline. Everyone thought that the battle for the divine power source bead would end just like that. It's a pity that the kid who ruined my plan wasn't killed. Humph. I'll find a chance to kill that kid in the future. Outside the array, 9 Sabers' Heavenly King snorted coldly in his heart. His plan this time could be said to have been a perfect success. The only imperfection was that he didn't manage to kill Lu Ming. In the next moment, the 9 Sabers' Heavenly King was stunned and had a strange expression on his face. That was because there were a few more figures in the image in the sky. Not far away, there were a few figures flying towards the white-robed youth. Among those figures, one of them was Lu Ming. Haha, time's almost up. This kid actually came to die. The 9 Sabers' Heavenly King's eyes lit up. Oh no! The 9 extinction heavenly king's heart sank. It was too dangerous for Lu Ming to come over at this time. If the sky prides of the 9 sabers heavenly king mansion wanted to kill him, there was no way he could run, especially when the white-robed youth was present. When the Jin clan leader, the winged clan leader, and the Qin clan leader saw Lu Ming, their eyes flashed with murderous intent. Many people in the formation also noticed Lu Ming. It's that kid. Many sky prides of the 9 sabers heavenly king mansion had murderous intent in their eyes. Lu Ming, Jin Xiang, the leader of the Qin clan, had murderous intent in his eyes. Oh no! The leader of the Wu clan and some of the sky prides of the Wu clan had a change in their expression. Now that Lu Ming had appeared, it was extremely disadvantageous for him. Cold gazes fell on Lu Ming, but Lu Ming did not seem to notice them. The few young men who came with him stopped in their tracks, not daring to move forward. However, Lu Ming continued to move forward. It's really lively here. Everyone is here, Lu Ming mumbled. Then, his gaze fell on the white-robed youth's hand. To be precise, it fell on the divine force source bead in his hand. Divine force source bead, I've come at the right time. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It's that kid. We're in luck. It's almost over, but this kid still came to us. Let's kill him and ask the Heavenly King for a reward. That's right, haha. Some of the sky prides of the 9 sabers Heavenly King mansion wanted to attack, but someone was faster than them. Lu Ming, I've finally met you. Today you'll definitely die. Jin Xiang roared furiously. Golden light shone from his body, like a golden sun, as he charged towards Lu Ming. Jin Xing and Jin Yuan of the 4 heroes of the Jin clan had died at the hands of Lu Ming. The Jin clan head had already given the order to kill Lu Ming at the first opportunity. When Jin Xiang saw Lu Ming, he naturally attacked without hesitation. Clang! Jin Xiang used the void-splitting sword. A golden sword radiance cut through the void and slashed towards Lu Ming. Roar! With a roar, Lu Ming transformed into a green-armored ancient god. He lashed out with his long spear and hit the golden sword radiance. The golden sword radiance suddenly vibrated violently. Jin Xiang's body shook, and he retreated tens of thousands of meters. You! Jin Xiang stared at Lu Ming in horror. In the collision just now, he felt that Lu Ming's strength was unbelievably strong. A heavenly god's strength was so strong that it was far beyond his expectations. Not far away, the white-robed youth's eyes narrowed. He had always been proud of his talent. However, Lu Ming was only a heavenly god, but he had such strength. It was obvious that his talent was higher than his. He suddenly had a strong desire to kill Lu Ming. Swoosh! Swoosh! At that moment, 2 figures appeared beside Jin Xiang. One was the leader of the Qin clan, and the other was the leader of the Winged Man family. Although the leader of the Winged Man family had been injured by the white-robed youth, it was not fatal. He still had the strength to fight. Chapter 3142. Jin Xiang, this Lu Ming is extremely strange and powerful. I'm afraid we can't take him down alone. Let's attack together, the leader of the Winged Man clan said. He and the leader of the Qin family had fought with Lu Ming before and knew how powerful Lu Ming was. All right, let's attack together. We must get rid of this Lu Ming. Jin Xiang gritted his teeth. Then, the 3 experts charged towards Lu Ming. So many people against one person, and he's a heavenly god. Don't you feel ashamed? Come on, if you want to fight, we'll fight with you. The leader of the Wu family shouted and was about to help Lu Ming. You'd better not move. Saber radiance flashed, and a supreme talent from the 9 sabers, Heavenly King residents, locked onto the leader of the Wu family. It was good that someone wanted to kill Lu Ming, saving them the trouble. However, they would not allow others to help Lu Ming. You! the leader of the Wu family, had an ugly look on his face. "Thank you for your kind intentions, but these cats and dogs can't do anything to me." Lu Ming looked at the leader of the Wu family and smiled. Jin Xiang and the others had ugly looks on their faces. Lu Ming treated them as Tom, Dick, and Harry. The Jin family head and the others outside the array also had ugly looks on their faces. If Jin Xiang and the others were cats and dogs, then what were they? "This brat must die. Kill." Jin Xiang, the leader of the Qin family, and the leader of the Winged Man clan attacked together. 3 terrifying attacks blasted towards Lu Ming. Divine Dragon Image. Lu Ming let out a low growl and took a few steps forward. Many 9-clawed divine dragons roared and appeared in the air. 20 of them. 20 9-clawed dragon that were 10,000 meters long. Back then, when Lu Ming entered the ethereal realm of life and death, not only did he comprehend the origin source secret technique, Dominator's Gate, but he also made great progress in other divine skills and secret techniques. For example, the divine dragon image technique had improved and he could condense 29-clawed dragon at once. The 29-clawed divine dragons attacked together like a divine dragon army. Their dragon might was vast and their aura was shocking as they charged towards Jin Xiang and the other 2. Then, with a thought from Lu Ming, 9 ice chains flew out and wrapped around the 3 experts. As for Lu Ming, he cast the 9 Heavens Kuin Peng technique and charged toward the golden elephant in a flash. Moon. Lu Ming held his spear and slashed downward. A crescent-shaped spear gleam slashed toward the golden elephant. Now, Lu Ming's comprehension of the 3 destructive strikes had reached the limit of the 8th level. He was only a step away from the 9th level, and his power was stronger than before. In an instant, 2 9-clawed heavenly martial, heavenly divine skill Jiang Xian, divine skill can't believe he uses his divine power says. The others were dumbfounded. This kind of storm-like attack consumed a lot of divine power. Even if the others had mastered many secret skills, they would not dare to use them all at once like Lu Ming. His godly power could not hold on any longer. However, Lu Ming had the quantifying character formula and was not worried about this at all. The leaders of the Winged Clan and the Qin clan were blocked by the ice chains and the divine Dragon Dharma idol. Lu Ming, on the other hand, focused on the golden elephant. The light of the spear came down and clashed with Jin Xiang's Sword of the Void. Just like last time, the golden elephant's body shook violently and it retreated repeatedly. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted and used his strongest move, Starburst. A huge spear light rushed towards the golden elephant. The golden elephant's pupils contracted as it felt a fatal threat. Lu Ming's move could pose a threat to him. Boom! Jin Xiang roared and unleashed his full power. His body seemed to have turned completely golden, like a golden statue. Whoosh, 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 he held the golden battle sword in his hand and slashed out hundreds of times in an instant. He laid out a heavy sword net around his body, trying to block Lu Ming's move. However, Lu Ming's trump card was more than that. Extreme Yin Pupil! Lu Ming shouted. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes turned snow white. Lu Ming finally used the secret skill, Yin Yang Gadai. However, Lu Ming did not use the complete Yin Yang Gadai. He only used the extreme Yin Pupil. The complete Yin Yang Gadai was too draining for him. However, even the extreme Yin Pupil was very powerful. A whirlpool suddenly appeared above the golden elephant's head. A terrifying cold force enveloped the golden elephant. The golden elephant's expression changed drastically. In an instant, he felt his entire body freeze. His muscles, bones, blood, and even his soul were all frozen. The terrifying cold force was about to freeze him to death. He tried his best to resist, but it was to no avail. The cold force was too terrifying. Not only was it cold, but it also had a corrosive force. Boom! Lu Ming's move, Supernova, burst out with a destructive force and defeated the golden elephants, sword light. Whoosh! Lu Ming held his spear and pierced toward the golden elephant's glabella. No, no. One was the golden elephant's own roar. He was extremely terrified. The other was the roar of the head of the Jin family. However, no matter how much they roared, they could not change the reality. Puff! Lu Ming's long spear pierced through the golden elephant's forehead. The destructive force obliterated the golden elephant's soul. The golden elephant was dead. At this point, 3 of the 4 heroes of the Jin family had died in the hands of Lu Ming. No, no! Outside the formation, the head of the Jin family let out an angry roar. His eyes were blood-red and his killing intent was as cold as a knife. The other experts of the Jin family were not much better. They all stared at Lu Ming in the picture with ferocious eyes, wishing they could grind Lu Ming's bones into ashes. The 4 heroes of the Jin family were the 4 most outstanding geniuses of the younger generation of the Jin family. The Jin family's current generation could be said to be glorious. They had 4 peerless geniuses. They thought that the Jin family would become stronger in the future. But now, 3 of the 4 heroes had died. Moreover, they were killed by one person. One could imagine how they felt. The people of the other families were gloating. The weaker the Jin family was, the happier they would be. Oh no, retreat! Seeing that the golden elephant was killed, the leaders of the Wing family and the Qin family were shocked and frantically retreated far away from Lu Ming. Their eyes were filled with fear. The 3 of them joined forces to fight Lu Ming, but one of them was killed in an instant. This almost scared them out of their wits. Lu Ming's strength was stronger than the last time he fought with them. So strong! At the scene, all the geniuses were in disbelief. Lu Ming was only a divine realm expert. Such strength was too demonic. In particular, some of the geniuses of the 9 Sabers' Heavenly King Mansion narrowed their eyes, especially those who had participated in the siege of Lu Ming. Their faces were even more solemn. If they had gone up just now, one of them might have died. Do you think it's that easy to attack and retreat? Lu Ming shouted coldly and performed the Garuda technique. The Garuda flapped its wings and rushed toward the leader of the Qin family. Chapter 30, 143. The leader of the Winged Man family and the Qin family had teamed up with the Sky Pride of the 9 Sabers' Heavenly King residence to kill him. If Lu Ming hadn't entered the spirit of life and death state at the crucial moment and comprehended the gate of domination, the outcome would have been unpredictable. Just now, the other party had teamed up with the Golden Elephant to kill him. How could Lu Ming let them off? The leader of the Winged Man family was too fast. He charged towards the leader of the Qin family first. Lu Ming's speed was slightly faster than the leader of the Qin family. The distance between the 2 parties was quickly closing. Not good. Brother E, come and help me. The leader of the Qin family shouted and asked for help from the leader of the Winged Man family. However, the leader of the Winged Man family didn't dare to fight with Lu Ming. He sped up and fled into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The other Sky Prides of the Winged Man family also fled. Damn it! The leader of the Qin family roared and charged towards the other Sky Prides of the Qin family. Quick, attack with me and stop this person. Time is almost up. Once the time is up, it will be the time of his death. There were quite a number of Sky Prides of the Qin family that had entered this place. There were more than 20 of them. However, these Sky Prides of the Qin family looked at each other and retreated at full speed. If Lu Ming could easily kill the Golden Elephant, it would be even easier for him to kill them. How would they dare to help the leader of the Qin family? At this moment, it didn't matter if you were a leader or not. It was more important to stay alive. You! The leader of the Qin family roared in fear. However, Lu Ming had already caught up to him. Roar! A group of 9-clawed dragon charged towards the leader of the Qin family. Lu Ming's current cultivation level was still low. Perhaps the power of a single 9-clawed divine dragon was limited. However, if 29-clawed divine dragons attacked at the same time without any regard for their lives, the power would be extremely shocking. Coupled with the attack of the 9 ice chains, the leader of the Qin family was a little flustered. Extreme Enai, Lu Ming muttered. A whirlpool appeared above the leader of the Qin family and spun crazily. Then, waves of extreme cold energy surged towards the leader of the Qin family. No. 7 injuries, divine fist. Block it, the leader of the Qin family yelled. He used his divine power to injure himself and increase the power of the 7-wound divine fists. He kept throwing out punches, trying to block the cold power of the extreme Yin pupil. As expected, the power of the extreme Yin pupil was temporarily blocked by the terrifying power of the fist. However, Lu Ming's follow-up attack arrived. Supernova. A cold voice rang out, as if it was a death sentence. Boom! A terrifying spear light burst out and bombarded the body of the Qin clan's leader. The Qin clan's leader's body trembled violently and flew out horizontally, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. This time he was prepared and was not killed in one move like the golden elephant. However, he was still no match for Lu Ming and was severely injured. The Qin clan youth rushed to the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence's side in fear and shouted, "Didn't you want to kill this brat? Attack! Attack! This guy is too much of a freak. If he kills us, he'll kill you too." At that moment, the Qin clan geniuses could only place their hopes on the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence. Indeed, this brat is too much of a freak. Let's attack together and kill him. A cold voice rang out. It was Duanjiang. Duanjiang did not manage to kill Lu Ming the last time. Now that he realized that Lu Ming's strength had increased, he was terrified and could not wait to kill Lu Ming. All right, let's attack together. The other geniuses of the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence, also spoke. Suddenly, 7 to 8 terrifying auras burst out and surged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming brandished his spear and swept it out, dispersing the aura. However, his figure was also blocked. The leader of the Qin clan took the opportunity to rush behind the geniuses of the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence. He heaved a long sigh of relief and relaxed. He finally managed to survive. Lu Ming, after you die, I'll feed your corpse to the wild dogs." The leader of the Qin clan glared viciously at Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Everyone outside could see what had happened. He was in too much of a mess just now. If you're capable, fight one-on-one. Now that you want to bully him with numbers, have you asked for our permission? The leader of the Wu clan roared. Together with Zhao Emo and the other leaders of the Qin clan, they came to Lu Ming's side. Powerful auras surged toward the people of the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence. Do you think you can fight us with the 3 of you? You're overestimating yourselves. Duanjiang sneered. Everyone, are you just going to watch and not attack? If we join forces, we might not be afraid of them. The leader of the Wu clan looked at the geniuses of the other families. Apart from the Jin clan, the Qin clan, and the Winged clan, there were a few other families that had geniuses who were not weaker than them. The leader of the Wu clan wanted them to attack together. However, those geniuses glanced at the white-robed young man from the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence with fear. They were afraid of the white-robed young man. Of course, Lu Ming saw the scene. Everyone, if he attacks, why don't you leave it to me? Lu Ming pointed at the white-robed young man. Leave it to you. Everyone was stunned. Although Lu Ming was strong, the white-robed young man was a terrifying existence who had awakened his divine power a second time. It would be easy for him to kill Jin Xiang. However, although Lu Ming had killed Jin Xiang, it was not that easy. Lu Ming could fight with the white-robed young man. Lu Ming, this person has awakened his divine power factor a second time. One of the geniuses reminded. So he has awakened his divine power factor a second time. No wonder. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. No wonder when he saw this person holding the divine power source bead in his hand, no one went up to snatch it. It turned out that he had awakened his divine power factor a second time, which shocked everyone. Interesting. Leave him to me, Lu Ming added. Not only did it shock the others, but the white-robed young man's eyes also shone with radiance. Everyone, the 9 Blades Heavenly King residences, purpose this time is simple. They took out the divine power source bead and let the geniuses of the 9 Blades Heavenly King residents kill each other. They will stir up conflicts between the various families and weaken our strength. They will then take advantage of the situation. Lu Ming continued. He knew that the 9 Blades Heavenly King had bribed family head Seacombe, so it was easy for him to guess the 9 Blades Heavenly King's purpose this time. Many people's eyes flashed. They knew that Lu Ming was right. That was the truth. Outside the formation, the 9 Blades Heavenly King sneered. It was an open conspiracy, and it was not difficult for others to guess his purpose. However, the various families had killed each other, and many geniuses had died. The conflicts were deep. Even if they understood his plan, the conflicts would not be resolved. That was the power of his plan. Even if others knew about it, his plan could still be realized. Also, in the 9 Blades Heavenly King residence, there is someone who has awakened his divine power factor a second time. Obviously, the other party knows that the divine power source bead will be taken by him. The 9 Blades Heavenly King does not want the divine power source bead to be taken by us. They have been playing with us since the beginning. However, I will not do as he wishes. The divine power source bead cannot fall into the hands of the other party. Everyone, let's work together. You help me block these people, and I will take the divine power source bead. How about that? Lu Ming's voice resounded throughout the entire place. Chapter 30, 144. Lu Ming's words made many of the 9 extinction Heavenly King mansions Sky Prides stare coldly. After Lu Ming's reminder, they understood. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King mansion had been toying with them since the beginning. They had an expert like the young man in the white robe. Who could compete with him for the divine power source bead? It was no wonder that the Sky Prides of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King mansion did not intervene in the fight for the divine power source bead and let the 9 extinction Heavenly King mansion kill each other. In the end, the divine power source bead would still fall into the hands of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King mansion. They were being toyed with like a bunch of clowns. Many of them were enraged. Lu Ming, I'll fight with you. No matter who gets the divine power source bead, it can't fall into the hands of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King mansion. The leader of the Wu family was the first to shout. Then, Zhao Mo and the leader of the other families followed suit. Bam! 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 Then a few young men stepped out and walked side by side with Lu Ming, emitting powerful auras. All right, let's join forces. The few young men spoke one after another. They were the leaders of the other families. These people were different from Jin Xiang and the rest. They had no grudges against Lu Ming. Now that they were persuaded by Lu Ming, they decided to join forces. However, that person is extremely powerful. Are you confident? A young man asked Lu Ming. The person he was referring to was the young man in the white robe. Leave it to me. Lu Ming smiled and took a step forward, heading toward the young man in the white robe. Zhao Mo, the leader of the Wu family, and the rest stood in front of the Sky Prides of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King mansion so that they could not interfere with Lu Ming. At that moment, everyone was watching. The young Sky Prides in the formation and the experts outside the formation were all looking at Lu Ming and the young man in the white robe. Seeing Lu Ming walking toward him, the young man in the white robe was surprised. He did not expect that Lu Ming would dare to challenge him alone. Interesting. The young man in the white robe spoke. Saber radiance was swallowing, and his aura was intimidating. It won't be interesting later. Lu Ming smiled faintly. A 7th-level celestial god with your strength is rare in this world. However, you are so arrogant that you think you can fight me. You are overconfident, the white-robed young man said. We'll know after the battle. Lu Ming's answer was simple. Very good. Remember, the one who defeated you is Yuan Yu. After the white-robed young man finished speaking, he waved his hand, and the divine power source bead flew into the sky and floated there. However, no one dared to fight for it. Boom! After Yuan Yu threw out the divine power source bead, an astonishing aura erupted from his body. A transparent saber shadow burst out from Yuan Yu's body and soared into the sky, piercing through the depths of the firmament. Come on! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. His body, which was hundreds of meters tall, was covered with divine power and filled with dazzling light. Roar! Roar! There were waves of dragon roars and 9-clawed divine dragons condensed continuously above Lu Ming's head. A total of 29 clawed dragons appeared at the same time. The scene was astonishing. Kill! Lu Ming roared and took a step forward. The 29 clawed dragons charged towards Yuan Yu. Then 9 ice chains flew out and wrapped around Yuan Yu. Petty tricks! Break for me! Yuan Yu shouted coldly as he unsheathed his saber and slashed out. The shadow of the saber above his head merged with the saber in his hand and slashed out a saber light that was over 10,000 miles long. As the saber light slashed down, it was as if it had split the heavens and earth. The saber light brought along an endless wave of energy as it swept towards Lu Ming. The endless wave of energy bombarded the 9-clawed dragon. The 9-clawed dragon shook violently and exploded one after another. Boom! Boom! Terrifying explosions rang out. The 29 clawed dragons were all destroyed in a breath's time. Then it was the ice chains. Even with the sturdiness of the ice chains, it was difficult to withstand the power of Yuan Yu's saber light. After a slight resistance, all of them exploded. Supernova! At this moment, Lu Ming unleashed his full strength and performed the move, Supernova. A mountain-like spear light bombarded the saber light. As soon as the spear light hit the saber light, it exploded and turned into an endless destructive power that swept out. However, when the saber light slashed down, the destructive power was directly neutralized. A majestic force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated 1,000 miles. His chi and blood were in turmoil as a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Lu Ming was injured. The sky prides on the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace's side all revealed worried looks. Lu Ming was no match for Yuan Yu. If Yuan Yu defeated Lu Ming, then they could only run. He overestimates himself. He wants to fight Yuan Yu with just him? What a fool's dream! Duan Jiang sneered disdainfully. Outside the formation, the 9 sabers' Heavenly King also revealed a smile. What a powerful force! Is this the second awakening of the divine power of origin? Lu Ming muttered under his breath. The second awakening of the divine power of origin made divine power become even more terrifying, the power boundless. This kind of divine power, even without casting divine techniques or secret arts, just the divine power alone was boundless power. The destructive power was shockingly strong, able to destroy everything. Just now, Yuan Yu's saber directly broke through Lu Ming's various means, domineering and overbearing. Just this bit of strength, then go to hell, universe saber! Yuan Yu gave a cold cry, holding the saber with both hands, suddenly slashing out a saber. Swoosh! A silver-white saber light was boundlessly terrifying, slashing towards Lu Ming with peerless speed. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to feel the space around him being squeezed. making him want to dodge, but his speed would become much slower. Facing this saber, he could only take it head-on. Try the power of the Gate of Sovereigns. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a look of anticipation. He originally did not want to expose the Gate of Sovereigns, but clearly if he did not cast the Gate of Sovereigns now, he was still not the other party's match. Gate of Sovereigns, come out. Lu Ming gave a low cry. As he circulated his divine power, an ancient stone door appeared above his head. Now, Lu Ming's Gate of Sovereigns was already quite proficient. The Gate of Sovereigns was very solid, like an ancient door that traversed time and space. Once the Gate of Sovereigns appeared, it emitted a shocking wave of energy. Suppress for me. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the Gate of Sovereigns flew out, tens of thousands of feet tall, emitting a purple gold radiance, and collided with Yuan Yu's saber light. Boom! In an instant, the silver-white saber light slashed the Gate of Sovereigns. The two shook violently, triggering an endless wave of energy that swept in all directions. Boom! Then, the silver-white saber light shattered, and the Gate of Sovereigns was sent flying back. You, how is this possible? Yuan Yu shouted in shock. He had used almost all his strength in that move just now. He had wanted to kill Lu Ming in one move, but he did not expect that Lu Ming would block it, and Lu Ming was completely fine. He was not the only one. Everyone else who saw this scene was a little dumbfounded. It turns out that Lu Ming still has a trump card. Many people whispered, and even more people were shocked. Lu Ming's many tricks were really shocking. Chapter 30, 145. Again, Lu Ming shouted. He stepped into the air and charged towards Yuan Yu. The Gate of Domination followed closely behind Lu Ming, emitting a bright light as it continued to attack Yuan Yu. Break! Yuan Yu shouted. The saber in his hand floated in the air while his hands kept forming seals. Buzz! The saber vibrated, and the saber light shot into the sky. Then it flew out and slashed at the Gate of Domination. This was a saber manipulation technique. Its attack power was shocking. Clang! The saber slashed at the Gate of Domination. There was a sound of metal clashing and sparks flew. However, the Gate of Domination was unscathed. Instead, the saber was sent flying. After the saber was sent flying, it turned and swept past the Gate of Domination, charging towards Lu Ming. He wanted to sweep past the Gate of Domination and kill Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming had expected this move. The Gate of Domination flashed and returned to Lu Ming's head at an astonishing speed. It continued to attack the saber. Clang! The saber was sent flying again. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then there was a whoosh from the Gate of Domination. A terrifying suction force burst out. The Gate of Domination only had a door frame. It was made of stone, and there was nothing in the middle. It was pitch black. At this moment, the pitch-black space started to spin like a black hole. The terrifying suction force immediately enveloped the saber. The saber buzzed and vibrated, but it was stopped by the suction force and could not move. Boom! Then, the Gate of Domination attacked Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu's expression changed. He had lost his saber. He quickly took out another saber from his storage ring and slashed out. The saber light slashed at the Gate of Domination. The Gate of Domination only shook a little, but the saber light shattered. Lu Ming continued to control the Gate of Domination to attack Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu could only do his best to resist. The two of them were fighting each other head-on. They kept colliding and energy overflowed. However, in terms of attack power, the two of them were on par. However, the Gate of Domination continued to release that kind of attractive force, which severely affected Yuan Yu's performance. He needed to use his God force to resist this attractive force. Thus, after a dozen or so exchanges, Yuan Yu was already at a disadvantage. Yuan Yu was slowly losing ground. He retreated repeatedly, and his body trembled slightly. Clearly, he was enduring an extremely great pressure. Everyone who saw this scene couldn't help but widen their eyes. Yuan Yu was actually losing. Lu Ming's combat strength was also too horrifying. 7th level celestial deity. How could he have such battle prowess? Origin secret technique. This is an origin secret technique. Outside the array, the Nine Sabers' heavenly king roared in disbelief. The Nine Sabers' heavenly king had roamed the starry skies for countless years and had seen all sorts of storms and waves. But at this moment he found it hard to suppress the fluctuations in his heart and completely lost his composure. He could already tell that Lu Ming was using an origin secret technique. Last time, Lu Ming was besieged by Duan Jiang and the others. He fell into a state of emptiness of life and death, and comprehended the origin secret technique. However, at that time, the gate of domination had just been comprehended and was faintly discernible. After one strike, it dissipated. Therefore, the Nine Sabers' heavenly king and the others didn't recognize that it was an origin secret technique. But now that Lu Ming kept attacking, the Nine Sabers' heavenly king naturally recognized it. What? Origin secret technique? Oh my God! Hearing the Nine Sabers' heavenly king's words, many people exclaimed in disbelief. This time, so many sky prides had entered the array and fought to the death. What was it for? It was to fight for the divine power source bead and awaken the origin secret technique. One could imagine how difficult it was to awaken the origin secret technique. Yuan Yu was a genius. He had awakened his divine power source factor a second time at the 1st level celestial king realm. He was extremely talented, but he still had a long way to go before he could awaken the origin secret technique. He wanted to obtain the divine power source bead to awaken the origin secret technique. But now, Lu Ming did not do anything, and he actually awakened the secret skill of the origin. A 7th level celestial god not only awakened the divine power source factor, but also the origin secret technique. This could no longer be described as monstrous. It was simply abnormal, a monster, a miracle. The shock of these people could be imagined. Ha ha ha, great. The Nine Sabers' heavenly king was also shocked at first, but he quickly reacted and laughed. The Nine Sabers' heavenly king palace actually produced such a sky pride this time. He would definitely shine during the Great Void Imperial family's sacred courtyard and even be valued by the sacred emperor. As for the Jin family, the Winged Man family, and the Qin family, the masters and experts of the 3 families, their faces were extremely ugly. Many sky prides of the 3 families had died in the hands of Lu Ming. It could be said that they wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. The stronger Lu Ming was, the more worried they were. We must find a way to get rid of this kid. Such thoughts flashed through the minds of the masters of the families. Inside the formation, the battle continued. Lu Ming and Yuan Yu fought for more than 10 moves. Yuan Yu finally couldn't take it anymore, and his battle saber was sent flying. Under the violent pressure of the gate of domination, Yuan Yu's body shook violently and flew out like a cannonball, coughing up blood. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and continued to control the gate of domination to bombard Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu roared, his palm like a saber, bursting out rays of saber light, blasting towards the gate of domination. However, his injured body and his palms alone couldn't withstand the gate of domination. After a loud bang, Yuan Yu screamed, his body flying out horizontally, blood spurting out of his mouth. His palms exploded, flesh and blood flying everywhere. It was a tragic sight. Lu Ming, I'll remember what happened today. Next time, I'll pay you back 10 times. Yuan Yu roared, then turned into a ray of saber light and flew away at an astonishing speed. After a few flashes, Yuan Yu's figure disappeared without a trace. Yuan Yu had actually fled directly. Lu Ming didn't chase after him. In fact, he didn't have the ability to do so now. After all, he had just comprehended the gate of domination not long ago. After the battle with Yuan Yu, he felt like he couldn't control it anymore. If Yuan Yu could hold on a little longer, he would be the one to lose. Circulating his god force, the gate of domination above Lu Ming's head disappeared. Lu Ming took a step forward, appearing high in the sky and grabbing the divine force source bead in his hand. Then, Lu Ming wanted to put the divine force source bead into his storage ring, but he was stunned. He didn't expect that the divine force source bead couldn't be put into a storage ring. How is this possible? How is this possible? The 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residences, Sky Prides were shocked beyond words. Yuan Yu was defeated by Lu Ming. They didn't expect this to happen even in their wildest dreams. On the other hand, Zhao Mo, the Wu clan's leader, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They were well aware of how strong Yuan Yu was. Previously, Yuan Yu had easily crushed the leader of the Winged Man clan, but Lu Ming was able to defeat Yuan Yu. Didn't that mean that Lu Ming's strength could easily crush them too? A 7th layer, Heavenly God Realm Cultivator could easily crush them. If someone had said this to them before, they would have scoffed. Chapter 3146. Lu Ming looked at the Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence. The Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence were shocked. At this moment, they did not even have the thought of fighting, let alone snatching the divine power source pearl. If Lu Ming teamed up with the people from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence, they would be in danger. Bam! Lu Ming stepped out. The void vibrated, and the people from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence, were shocked. Lu Ming, we can choose not to compete with you for the divine power source pearl, but don't cross the line. Duanjiang shouted. Cross the line? Why didn't you cross the line when the few of you tried to kill me? I have a strong point, and that is that I'm a vengeful person. Lu Ming sneered, and his footsteps quickened as he walked toward Duanjiang. Let's attack together. Let's attack together. I don't believe that we can't defeat him with so many of us. Duanjiang shouted, trying to instigate the Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence, to attack together. However, this time, the Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence, had a glimmer in their eyes. Lu Ming was too strong. Together with the Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence, they would definitely lose if they fought. We can't be reckless now. Let's retreat first and find another chance to kill him in the future. That's right. The Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence, whispered and retreated. Duanjiang was shocked and could only retreat with the Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence. However, Lu Ming moved and chased after them. You can leave, but he has to stay. Lu Ming pointed at the leader of the Qin family and said, coldly. The leader of the Qin family had been severely injured by Lu Ming and had been hiding behind the Sky Prides from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence. Now he wanted to retreat with the people from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence. Don't agree with him. Save me! The leader of the Qin family was shocked and shouted immediately. This is an internal matter of 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence. It has nothing to do with us. That's right. Settle your own matters. Shouted the people from 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence. They could not wait for Lu Ming to not attack them. As for the matter of the Qin clan's leader, what did it have to do with them? They couldn't wait for the 9 absolute Heavenly King palace to kill each other? The people from the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence, quickly retreated. No, save me. The leader of the Qin clan shouted, wanting to follow the people of the 9 Blades, Heavenly King residence. Scram! A Sky Pride from the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King residence, shouted coldly and slashed at the leader of the Qin clan, forcing him to retreat. At this time, Lu Ming had already caught up. Kill! Lu Ming coldly shouted. The huge spear light was like a mountain pressing down on the Qin clan's leader. The Qin clan's leader had yet to recover from his injuries, so he couldn't block Lu Ming's attack at all. He was blasted to the ground in one move. Extreme Yin vision! Lu Ming spoke in a low voice. A vortex appeared, spewing out a terrifying coldness that froze the leader of the Qin clan. After that, Lu Ming rushed over and killed the leader of the Qin clan. Damn it! Outside the array, the patriarch of the Qin family and the experts of the Qin family shouted angrily with bloodshot eyes. A top-notch Sky Pride had been killed, and they were heartbroken. At this time, the Sky Pride from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence had already retreated far away. Lu Ming didn't chase after him. He originally wanted to kill Duan Jiang, but at this time he didn't have the strength to do so. Using the Gate of Domination had consumed too much of his energy. It was beyond his expectations. Generally speaking, those who could comprehend the origin secret technique were geniuses among geniuses. Moreover, they had to be at least in the Divine King realm to be able to comprehend it. Therefore, to use the origin secret technique, one would need a terrifying amount of divine energy. Originally, with Lu Ming's cultivation of the 7th level heavenly god realm and his abundant divine energy, he wouldn't be able to use it at all, let alone exchange so many moves. Lu Ming purely relied on the quantifying character formula. He had stored a large amount of divine energy in the quantifying character formula in advance so that he could use it. However, during this period of continuous battles, in addition to using the Gate of Domination, he had consumed too much divine energy. He realized that the divine energy he had stored in the quantifying character formula had been used up. Therefore, Lu Ming was actually an empty shell now. If Yuan Yu had held on for a while longer, or if the Nine Blades Heavenly King Mansion's prodigies were not afraid of death and fought with Lu Ming would have been exposed immediately. However, Lu Ming's previous performance was too shocking. No matter how bold the Nine Blades Heavenly King Mansion's prodigies were, they wouldn't dare to fight with Lu Ming. After killing the Qin clan's leading figure, Lu Ming held the divine power source bead and stood in the air. He kept using the universe myriad Tao technique to recover his divine energy as he waited. Although the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion's prodigies looked at the divine power source bead in Lu Ming's hand with burning eyes, they didn't dare to go up and fight with Lu Ming for the divine power source bead. Jin Xiang and the Qin clan's leading figure were examples. Therefore, the scene fell into silence. Time passed quickly. Soon, a month's time was about to arrive. Ha ha ha! Looks like the divine power source bead will belong to Lu Ming. 9 Blades, your plan this time has failed. The 9 extinction Heavenly King laughed. This time, although the conflicts between the major families had deepened, at least the divine power source bead fell into Lu Ming's hands, and they wouldn't lose so badly. Humph! The 9 Blades Heavenly King snorted coldly as he looked at Lu Ming in the image. His eyes were extremely gloomy. His original plan was very good. This time, not only would the conflict between the major families in the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion deepen, but the divine power source bead would also fall into Yuan Yu's hands in the end, helping him awaken the origin source secret technique. With Yuan Yu's talent and the awakening of the origin source secret technique, he would definitely be able to shine when the Great Void Imperial Family Sacred Courtyard was held. Unexpectedly, Lu Ming appeared out of nowhere and snatched the divine power origin bead away. This made him extremely unhappy, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. 9 Blades, the time has come. Open the formation. The 9 extinction Heavenly King's voice sounded. A month's time was up. The 9 Blades Heavenly King waved his hand, and the image in the air disappeared. Then he formed a seal with both hands, and runes flew out and disappeared into the formation. The light of the formation dimmed, and the light shield that covered the ground disappeared without a trace. The formation was closed. As soon as the formation was closed, Everyone in the formation sensed it. Immediately, streaks of rainbow light soared into the sky and flew towards them. The first to fly over were some of the sky prides of the 9 Blades Heavenly King Mansion, and Yuan Yu was among them. Heavenly King, I did not complete the mission this time. Please punish me. Yuan Yu and the other sky prides of the 9 Blades Heavenly King Mansion lowered their heads and apologized. Forget it. The 9 Blades Heavenly King waved his hand. In front, people kept flying over. Zhao Mo, the leader of the Wu family, and of course, Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming flew over, he became the center of attention. Everyone's eyes fell on him and the divine power source bead in his hand. Little guy, you're good. The 9 Blades Heavenly King's gaze also fell on Lu Ming, and it was extremely cold. Lu Ming felt like he was being stared at by a terrifying beast, and his hair stood on end. Thank you for the compliment, 9 Blades Heavenly King. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, neither servile nor overbearing. Chapter 30, 147. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King sneered and said, Kid, the Divine Power Source Pearl is still useful to me. How about this? Name a price and sell it to me. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King actually wanted to buy the Divine Power Source Pearl. I'm sorry, I don't want to sell it. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Not for sale. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King's eyes narrowed as he said, You are rejecting me. His voice was cold as he looked down at Lu Ming with a condescending attitude. Under normal circumstances, with his status, other juniors would not dare to reject him, but Lu Ming did. I said, I'm not selling. Don't you understand? Lu Ming's temper rose. No matter who it was, his tone was not pleasant. Many people's hearts beat wildly. Lu Ming dared to speak to the 9 Sabers Heavenly King in such a tone. He, the newborn calf, is not afraid of the tiger. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King chuckled, and everyone could hear the cold, murderous intent in his voice. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King was furious. 9 Sabers, if others don't want to sell it to you, are you going to force them to sell it to you? As a Heavenly King, aren't you afraid of being laughed at? The 9 Sabers Heavenly King said as he moved his body slightly, faintly blocking Lu Ming to prevent the 9 Sabers Heavenly King from attacking. Good, very good. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King said coldly, then glanced at Lu Ming and said, The day of the Taishu Imperial family's holy courtyard is coming soon. At that time, let's meet at the holy courtyard of the Taishu Imperial family. At that time, I'll let you see the real geniuses of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King residence. If there's nothing else, please leave. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King waved his hand and ordered them to leave. Let's go. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King did not stay. With a wave of his hand, a divine power enveloped the geniuses of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King residence. He then soared into the sky and left. All right, today's matter is over. However, I'll tell you that the Divine Power Source Pearl is obtained by Lu Ming and belongs to him. If anyone else dares to use unusual means to seize the Divine Power Source Pearl, don't blame me for being rude. Then the 9 Extinction Heavenly Kings' gaze swept across everyone present and warned. Many people were shocked. Indeed, there were many people who were thinking about the Divine Power Source bead. They were thinking of ways to snatch the Divine Power Source bead from Lu Ming's hands. Now that they heard the 9 Extinction Heavenly Kings say so, many people dispelled the thought in their hearts. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manner, no one could withstand the wrath of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King. Lu Ming, give me the Divine Power Source orb. I'll help you break the seal on it so that you can keep it. Following that, the 9 Extinction Heavenly King said to Lu Ming, Thank you, Heavenly King. Lu Ming bowed and thanked him. Then he handed the divine power source pearl to the 9 extremes heavenly king. He was not worried about the 9 extremes heavenly king. If the 9 extremes heavenly king wanted the divine power source pearl, he would not be able to keep it. The 9 extremes heavenly king took the divine power source bead and used his divine power to erase the seal on it before returning it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took the divine power source bead. With a thought, he kept the divine power source bead in his storage ring. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This was much more convenient. Otherwise, it would be too troublesome to hold the divine power source bead every day. All right, go back. There are less than 200 years before the opening of the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. This is a great opportunity for you. Once you can enter the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court, not only will you be able to enjoy the top cultivation resources, but it will also be the foundation for your meteoric rise. When the time comes, you will establish an army. It's not impossible to become the new Heavenly King Manor in the future. So, during this period, you have to work hard to cultivate and improve yourselves. The 9 extremes Heavenly King's voice sounded. Yes, Heavenly King. Many people shouted, especially the younger generation of Sky Prides. They were looking forward to it. The Starry Camp was just the foundation. Only by joining the Starry Camp would one be qualified to participate in the selection of the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. Otherwise, one would not even be qualified to participate. Their ultimate goal was to enter the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. That was where all the Sky Prides of the Taishu dynasty gathered. Throughout history, 90% of the powerful figures that appeared in the Taishu dynasty came from the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. In the past, the 9 Sabers Heavenly King residents and the 9 Ju Heavenly King residents had joined the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court and cultivated there. The Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court was the goal of all the Sky Prides of the Taishu dynasty. All right, let's go back. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King waved his hand and the crowd dispersed. Among them, Lu Ming had the divine power source pearl. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King had specially sent an expert to send Lu Ming back to the Starry Camp. The Starry Camp was guarded by experts from the 9 Sabers Heavenly King residents. There was no need to worry about being targeted. After returning to the Starry Camp, Lu Ming immediately went into seclusion. He took out a large number of divine gems and devoured them to recover his divine power. When Lu Ming's divine power was almost fully recovered, Lu Ming received a message from Blue Merchant. It seems like Uncle Lan Shu knows the result of the competition for the divine power source pearl. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He then flew towards Blue Merchant's residence. When Lu Ming arrived at Blue Merchant's residence, he did not see Lan Ling Ling. Her husband in seclusion to break through to the Divine King realm. She should be able to reach the Divine King realm by the time she comes out. Blue Merchant appeared and said with a smile, "Uncle Lan Shu, why are you looking for me?" Lu Ming asked with a smile, "I heard that you have obtained the Divine Power Source Pearl and awakened your origin secret technique. Is that true?" Blue Merchant looked at Lu Ming and said, "Of course it's true. With my talent, isn't it normal for me to achieve this?" Lu Ming said shamelessly, "Ha ha ha, that's perfectly normal. Show me your primary secret art." Blue Merchant said, "All right." Lu Ming nodded and then circulated his sovereign divine power. An ancient stone door appeared above his head, emitting an ancient aura. "The Sovereign's Gate, the Sovereign's Gate. Ha ha ha, amazing, amazing. A 7th level heavenly god who has awakened the Sovereign's Gate without any external help. Your talent is even better than Jingyu's." Blue Merchant laughed, his face full of joy. The higher Lu Ming's talent was, the happier he would be. "You flatter me, you flatter me." Although Lu Ming was humble, he could not hide the pride on his face. He felt that it was a pity. If that stubborn girl Lan Ling saw this, He wondered what kind of expression she would have. Although you have awakened your origin secret technique, you have mastered many kinds of divine powers. The divine power source pearl is still very useful to you. You can use it to awaken other origin secret techniques. Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming nodded, but he had other plans in mind. With his cultivation, it was already difficult for him to control one origin secret technique. It would be useless if he could not use more origin secret techniques. He planned to give the divine power source pearl to Autumn Moon so that she could awaken her origin secret technique. By the way, I am here to talk to you about the Taishu Imperial Family's Sacred Institute. Blue Merchant said, the Taishu Imperial Family's Sacred Institute. Lu Ming muttered in a low voice. Blue Merchant had mentioned it to him before, and the Nine Extinction Heavenly King had mentioned it. Now that Blue Merchant mentioned it again, it showed how much importance he attached to the Taishu Imperial Family's Sacred Institute. Chapter 30, 148. Is the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute really that important? Lu Ming asked curiously. Very important. Blue Merchant nodded solemnly. More than 90% of the important figures of the Taishu dynasty have cultivated in the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute. Jingyu and I are no exception. Especially for you, it's even more important. Even more important for me? Lu Ming was even more puzzled. That's right. First, there's the problem of cultivation. You control many divine-grade divine powers. You should be able to feel it by now. Is it difficult and requires a lot of energy to cultivate? Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming nodded. He could empathize with Jing Jiao on this point. Ordinary people would have to spend their entire life to cultivate one type of divine power. They would need to comprehend the origin divine power factor and the origin secret technique. Moreover, he now controlled 8 types of divine-grade divine powers and 2 other types of divine powers. The difficulty of cultivation was even higher. Under Blue Merchant's guidance and his own amazing talent, he had only awakened the origin divine power factor of the sovereign divine power and the imperishable sword force. Moreover, he had only awakened it once. There was still a long way to go before he could awaken the origin divine power factor of the other divine-grade divine powers. This made Lu Ming feel a little helpless. If he gave up on the other types of divine powers and focused on 1 or 2, then the advantage of the universe myriad Tao technique would not be able to be fully utilized. Could it be that there was something in the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute that could help him cultivate divine powers? As expected, Blue Merchant said, the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute has a cultivation, holy land that can greatly help in comprehending divine powers and origin divine power factor. It can even increase the chances of awakening the origin secret technique. There's such a place? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. No wonder all the geniuses of the Taishu dynasty racked their brains to enter the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute. It turned out that there was such a cultivation, holy land in the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute. The myriad deity cliff in Shinua Ancient City had a similar function. However, it would only be activated once in a very long period of time. Each time, one could only cultivate for 3 years. The duration was too short and the help it provided was very limited. Moreover, it would only be of great help to those who had not awakened their origin divine power factor. After awakening it once, the effects would be very weak. However, the sacred cultivation ground of the Great Void Imperial Sacred Academy would not be so weak. Moreover, this was only one of the cultivation grounds of the Taishu Imperial Academy. There were many other mysterious places. The other is the problem of future development. Blue Merchant continued to explain, if you develop well in the Great Void Imperial Sacred Academy, you can even establish your own family, occupy your own territory, and establish your own power. Establishing a family? Lu Ming's heart trembled. That's right. There are currently 27 heavenly king palaces in the Taishu dynasty. Do you think that they have existed since the Taishu dynasty was established? That's not the case. Some of them were conferred when the dynasty was established. Some of them were established by establishing their own families, and then slowly grew stronger until they were successfully promoted to heavenly king palaces. For example, the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Palace and the Nine Ju Heavenly King Palace were established by the Nine Sabers Heavenly King and the Nine Sabers Heavenly King, respectively. They were promoted to heavenly king palaces, step by step. Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He did not expect the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Palace and the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Palace to be established by the Nine Sabers Heavenly King and the Nine Sabers Heavenly King. He had always thought that they were conferred when the Taishu dynasty was established. For example, the Nine Serenities Heavenly King Palace was conferred when the Taishu dynasty was established. It evolved from the original Nine Serenities sect. Therefore, the Nine Serenities Heavenly King Palace and the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Palace are considered weak among the 27 Heavenly King Palaces. After all, their foundation is too shallow. In addition, there are also forces that establish their own families. They occupy a territory and develop their forces. Although they are not as strong as the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, their strength is still very strong. As long as they accumulate enough strength, it is possible for them to become the 28th Heavenly King Palace, or even the 29th Heavenly King Palace. And if you want to establish your own family in addition to great merits, there is another opportunity. That is, when the Taishu Imperial Sacred Court is held, countless geniuses will gather, and the Sacred Emperor will come in person. As long as you are in the top 10 when the Taishu Imperial Sacred Court is held, you will be qualified to establish your own family. And if you want to reverse the verdict for Jingyu, not only do you have to find out the truth of what happened back then, but you also have to be strong and have enough foundation. Only then can you reverse the verdict for Jingyu. So, my request for you is to be in the top 10 when the Taishu Imperial Sacred Court is held this time. Then, you will be qualified to establish your own family. Then, use this as a foundation to strengthen your forces. Only when your forces are strong enough, or even become the new Heavenly King Palace, will the chances of you reversing the verdict for Jingyu increase. Blue Merchant said a lot in one breath. Are the top 10 of the Taishu dynasty qualified to establish their own families? Lu Ming whispered. Then he nodded solemnly and said, Uncle Lan Shu, don't worry. I will definitely be in the top 10. Don't be careless. It's not that easy to be in the top 10. With your current strength, it's impossible. You should know that only the 9-Blade Heavenly King Palace and the 9-Ju Heavenly King Palace, and those who are below the first layer of the Divine King Realm will participate in this competition. The 2 Heavenly King Palaces have geniuses who are above the first layer of the Divine King Realm. Moreover, among the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, the 9-Blade Heavenly King Palace and the 9-Ju Heavenly King Palace are the weakest. The other Heavenly King Palaces are more powerful and have more geniuses. Other than the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, there are many forces that have not reached the level of a Heavenly King Palace. For example, the Marquis Palace and the General's Palace have many geniuses too. The most important thing is the Taishu dynasty itself. The Taishu dynasty occupies a vast and rich territory. It's the core of the Taishu dynasty. There are many geniuses there. The number of geniuses there is more than the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, the Marquis Palace, and the General's Palace combined. Now, you know how difficult it is to be in the top 10. Blue Merchant said solemnly. Lu Ming frowned. After listening to what Blue Merchant said, it was indeed difficult to be in the top 10. There are still 200 years left. During this time, you should cultivate harder. With your talent, you might have a chance. Once you're in the top 10, You'll be able to enter the Taishu imperial family's holy courtyard and receive more resources. You'll also be qualified to establish your own family. This is very important for your future development. Blue Merchant said, I understand. Lu Ming nodded solemnly with a determined look in his eyes. He had to be in the top 10. All right, that's all I have to say to you. Next, do you have any questions for me? Ask away. Blue Merchant smiled and the atmosphere relaxed. Lu Ming naturally had questions. Immediately, Lu Ming asked Blue Merchant about the cultivation comprehension of the Gate of Domination. Chapter 30, 149. Lu Ming stayed at Lan Shang's place, wholeheartedly seeking guidance from the Gate of Domination. His understanding of the Gate of Domination improved rapidly, and so did his usage of the Gate of Domination. As his understanding of the Gate of Dominion deepened, not only did its power increase, but the amount of godly power he needed to use it also decreased. Moreover, as he comprehended the Gate of Dominion, Lu Ming's understanding of the sovereign's godly power also deepened. Lu Ming's sovereign's godly power had already been cultivated to the limit of the first awakening. Now, Lu Ming felt that he was getting closer and closer to the second awakening. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been cultivating in Blue Merchant's place for half a month. On this day, while Lu Ming was cultivating, a powerful aura suddenly came from behind Blue Merchant's place. The aura spread, containing the might of a godly king. Someone was breaking through to the godly king realm. Lu Ming's heart thumped, and he instantly understood. It's Ling, are breaking through to the godly king realm. That girl finally succeeded after a period of seclusion. A smile appeared on Blue Merchant's face. So it's Lan Ling breaking through. Lu Ming's heart thumped. Come, let's go take a look, Blue Merchant said, and then headed to the back of the villa. Lu Ming followed behind. Behind Blue Merchant's place was a purple bamboo forest. At this moment, Lan Ling was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the bamboo forest, surrounded by godly light. Her beauty was indescribable. Her body constantly emitted powerful ripples, causing the surrounding bamboo to bend. However, this kind of bamboo was very tough and didn't break. As time passed, Lan Ling's aura grew stronger, especially her dantian, which was emitting resplendent light. Lu Ming seemed to see a star core in her dantian. Yes, at this moment, Lan Ling's godly flame had completely transformed into a star core. This meant that Lan Ling was close to breaking through. Hoo! Suddenly, Lan Ling's body exploded with a strong suction force. The divine chi of heaven and earth frantically gathered towards Lan Ling's body. Luckily, the divine chi on the Starry Sky Camp Star Peak was so dense that it could not be dispersed. There was no need to worry about the lack of divine chi. Large amounts of divine chi were absorbed by Lan Ling and converted into divine power. About half a day later, Lan Ling let out a delicate shout. Her figure soared into the sky and stood on top of a purple bamboo. She looked like a fairy. She had successfully broken through to the God King realm and had completely stabilized her cultivation. Congratulations! Blue Merchant smiled. To the cultivators of the primitive universe, becoming a godly monarch was a hurdle. The empty God realm, the true God realm, and the divine realm were the process of condensing and strengthening the divine flame. It could be said that it was the foundation of the cultivation of the divine realm. In the boundless great thousand world, it was the lowest level of existence. As for the divine king realm, condensing the star core was equivalent to grasping the key to becoming a stronger expert. In the entire divine realm, this was already considered as a higher level of cultivation. In the primitive universe, various races and countless existences were trapped in the heavenly God realm, unable to break through. Only 1 in 10,000 could break through to the divine king realm. Once one crossed over to the divine king realm, it would be another level. Blue Merchant was naturally happy. "Thank you, father." Lan Ling's clear voice resounded. Then, her eyes fell on Lu Ming. She revealed a cold and arrogant look and said, "Lu Ming, so you're here too. Very well, it's time to settle the score. I've said before that I won't let you off after I reach the Divine King realm." Having said that, Lan Ling's body emitted a powerful aura. An ancient aura filled the air and pressed down on Lu Ming. "Ling, are you?" Blue Merchant was just about to speak, but was interrupted by Lan Ling. "Father, don't plead for him. It's useless no matter who pleads for him today. I must return the humiliation that he gave me." Lan Ling said. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth when she recalled how Lu Ming had slapped her in certain areas. "That's not what I meant." Blue Merchant felt helpless. He knew that Lu Ming had defeated all the geniuses of the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King Mansion, and the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Mansion. Even if Lan Ling had broken through to the Divine King realm, she was still no match for Lu Ming. He wanted to persuade Lan Ling not to fight with Lu Ming. Unfortunately, he was interrupted by Lan Ling again. "Father, don't say any more. I won't listen." Lan Ling said stubbornly. Lu Ming wore an inexplicable smile and said, "Uncle Lan Shu, don't interfere. Let Lady Ling fight. Otherwise, she won't be appeased." Blue Merchant looked at the naughty smile on Lu Ming's face and couldn't help but mourn for Lan Ling. However, as a father, he was really irresponsible. He thought about it again. Fighting was a form of love. Perhaps Lu Ming and Lan Ling would develop feelings for each other after fighting? Therefore, he showed a helpless expression and sighed, "Forget it. You young people can do whatever you want. I can't control you. I'll take my leave first." After saying that, Blue Merchant's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming was stunned when Blue Merchant left so quickly. This kind of father is really unreliable. Lu Ming despised him in his heart. "Humph, Lu Ming, there's no one here now. Make your move. I'll give you 3 moves." The aura on Lan Ling's body became stronger and stronger, enveloping Lu Ming. Breaking through to the Divine King realm, coupled with her awakened origin divine power, caused her strength to skyrocket many times. Although the strength Lu Ming displayed back then was strong, she had full confidence in suppressing Lu Ming. "Today, I'll make you beg for mercy." Lan Ling muttered silently in her heart. "Giving me 3 moves, are you serious?" Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Make your move. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to make your move." Lan Ling's face was cold and arrogant. She was very confident. "All right, since you have such a strong request, then I won't be polite. Take this." Lu Ming shouted softly. Sovereign divine power surged, and then the Sovereign's Gate appeared. As soon as Lu Ming struck, he used his most powerful move, Gate of Domination. Boom! The Sovereign's Gate shook and suppressed Lan Ling directly. As soon as the Ruler's Gate appeared, a terrifying fluctuation swept towards Lan Ling in an overwhelming manner. You're using an origin secret technique?" Lan Ling had followed Blue Merchant for many years, so she was very knowledgeable. The moment she saw the Sovereign's Gate, she recognized it as an origin secret technique. She couldn't believe her eyes. Lu Ming was only at the Heavenly God realm, but he had already awakened an origin secret technique. At this moment, she finally understood what the Blue Merchant's and Lu Ming's expressions meant. But it was too late. She used all her strength and pushed her strength to the limit, wanting to block the attack of the Sovereign's Gate. However, Lu Ming could even defeat Yuan Yu with the Sovereign's Gate. Lan Ling's origin divine power had only awakened once, so there was a huge gap between her and Yuan Yu, let alone Lu Ming. Boom! Under the suppression of the Sovereign's Gate, all of Lan Ling's attacks and defenses couldn't withstand a single blow and were instantly destroyed. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.